right. Hello, True Heel Heat. I'm the AEW World Champion MJF. Just in case you're deaf, dumb, blind, stupid, or since you listen to this podcast or you're listening to True Heel Heat, and I apologize for that.
What's up, everyone? It's the Interview Queen, Alicia.
What's going on, everybody? This is your former AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Once a champion, always a champion. Swerve Strickland. Whose house? Swerve's house. You're watching True Heel Heat podcast.
Hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube and Facebook for our AEW X NJPW presents Forbidden Door London 2025 review. Discussing yesterday's show from the O2 Arena in London, England. And did we say goodbye to this version of Will Ospreay? We're going to talk about that. We might have said goodbye to Swerve Strickland for a while, so a lot of goodbyes, apparent time off hiatuses for some people, and new champions being crowned in London, England, and we're here to discuss it here with you. Of course, to do that, I am joined by my esteemed colleagues here. First up, we got the MC of the past, present, and future of NJPW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, here on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. It's your boy, J News.
What's going on, y'all? Long day of pro wrestling yesterday for everyone who tried to enjoy it all across the board. We're here to talk Forbidden Door. Lots to discuss. Things to... I want to really know what you guys' particular perspectives on certain matches were, because there's a lot of conversation going on about a lot of different things online specifically. And I know I fall, I'll say, on my own side of certain things when it comes to things. But you know how the internet works, so we'll get there.
Yes, we will surely get there, and I'm sure some people in the chat might feel the same way. So sound off over there. And of course, to do all that, as usual with our AEW pay-per-views, we call on one person always. He's the co-host of the NWA podcast. You see his work at Post Wrestling, WrestleNomics, and more. Professor Kris Ely, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. Just got some opinions on the pay-per-view, and I got my times mixed up again yesterday, so I gotta get. I don't blame AEW for it. I blame myself, but we were able to watch it.
There you go. As long as we're able to watch it somehow, some way, that's all we can ask for. But I'm excited to talk about yesterday's show with all of you and you guys watching at home or on your way to work or wherever. We appreciate y'all for joining us live. Appreciate y'all for watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back. The simplest way possible is by dropping a thumbs up on this video. You can share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, you can sound off in the comment section if you're watching us on demand. If you're with us live, though, we want to hear from all of you. We want to interact with you, hear your thoughts on yesterday's show of Forbidden Door 2025, and you could sound off in the live chat. We'll try to highlight as many of your comments as possible. But of course, if you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here, you want to show your support to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel and our Forbidden Door review, you can send a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. It goes back to the contributors that you see on screen with us here, and we always appreciate the support. But as always with these pay-per-view reviews, we got some thoughts, some things that we want to throw out there before we get into the nitty-gritty. But Jay News, you seem like you had something to say in regards to the discourse on yesterday's show. So what do you want to know? Let's talk about it.
I mean, all right. I myself ingest the majority of the time. I venture into the extremes, but when I have to get serious about stuff, I understand that there is nuanced conversations that we had about certain stuff. So I want to jump into the semi-main real quick. Hangman Page versus MJF. This discourse about this now being heralded as one of the worst matches ever. Yeah, I've seen this conversation, right? And or MJF being called one of the worst wrestlers ever, is to me troubling in the wrestling space, internet or not. I think it's a bit troubling. One, my own personal opinion, I think the tail end of the match itself was overbooked. That's my particular opinion. The match within itself, the wrestling, was perfect. These two guys have a charisma about them both and a chemistry together that no one else on their roster has, which is why Hangman's the main character and MJF is the antagonist of AEW at the end of the day. It works very well. I think a lot of the times folks look for things to complain about. They want to always single someone out and try to cancel them because either they're not a part of their preferred brand or it's just really wrestling that they don't like or take to, right? A style of wrestling that they don't like or take to. But what MJF and Hangman Page did yesterday, outside of the referee stuff, right, has been done in professional wrestling for years. Yeah. So for folks to go out of their way to really either to try to downplay the match and or call Max a bad wrestler, because Hangman didn't get any guff. Max got the guff.
Of course.
Why? I just don't understand it.
It's still PTSD from the Jay White match back in 2023. They're still on that verge because that's when really Max is a bad wrestler started, because you can't say he's a bad wrestler after he goes 65 minutes with Bryan Danielson. Can't call him a bad wrestler after the 4-way with the 4 pillars or what he was able to achieve with Adam Cole at Wembley Stadium. Really, it all stems from that matchup with Jay White where it was kind of overly done, making him seem like Super Cena meets Stone Cold Steve Austin when he was a babyface. That was a little bit much, but since then, I think I had no issues with last night's matchup. Spoiler alert, I think that last night's matchup was one of the best of the night. If it's not the main event, it's that match, in my opinion.
I agree. I thought that the match itself, like I said, for the wrestling's sake, I thought it was one of the better matches of the night. I can always do without shenanigans because obviously, you know, as a New Japan watcher and how much House of Torture crap I have to watch, I could just do without the shenanigans. But At the end of the day, I just don't understand some of the discourse, and it's probably a small pocket of people, but for whatever reason, it entered my my timeline. But what about you, Professor Kris? Give me your thoughts, man. Let me know what you're thinking on this.
Yeah, I like the pay-per-view. I didn't necessarily love the pay-per-view. Like it was one of those shows where I felt like if I skipped it, I wouldn't have had any FOMO, But at the same time, it was serviceable. It wasn't garbage, and there was some stuff on the show that I liked. Some stuff I didn't understand, and there was some stuff I didn't understand until I got the full context after the show went off. Like I didn't know about Swerve dealing with the injuries. I knew about Ospreay, didn't know about Swerve, and yeah, So, but for me, it was a fine show. I don't feel I got ripped off for paying $50 for it. It was fine. I got what I paid for,
Yeah, as far as it being like a wrestling show from top to bottom, I don't know if you can have much complaints. You can have complaints about booking and decision makings that go beyond what the performers put out there. Every AEW pay-per-view, they put out an A+ effort. Usually my only gripes are usually the booking or match placement. Right. Like I would say that this show was better than Dynasty. I think that Dynasty was objectively the worst AEW pay-per-view of the year, and that's to say that it was just a good show. This was a very good show. This is like one step above that. This was a very good show, most of all because I think this was the best match placement AEW's ever had. Because they booked it like it was a New Japan show, where just every match was higher in stakes, higher in importance of the title. It was very much one of the best paced and match placement that I've seen from an AEW pay-per-view. I wouldn't say that there are legit, to me personally, match of the year candidates on this show, which stops it from being one of the best of the show. And it also had to follow two all-timer, not just the two best shows of the year for AEW. These are two of the best shows in all of wrestling and two of the best shows AEW's ever produced, with All In last month and Double or Nothing in May. So they have a lot to live up to with this show. So it being very good, yeah, you can make the argument it's a step down from what we've been getting the last two pay-per-views, but it's still like you said, a serviceable, I would say, a very good show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, man. I think that for all intents and purposes, I feel like AEW is a victim of their own success, right? They set they set a very high bar when it comes to pay-per-views. At the end, of the day.
Not every album's going to be Thriller.
Yeah, exactly, right. So I definitely agree with SP3. I think the show in total, it was still a very good show. To take a page out of SP3's book, I was right. They added an extra 4 matches just the day before the freaking.
But I told you it was going to be on 0 hour. I didn't say that. I said it was going to be 0 hour.
0 hour, yeah. But at the end of the day, we still got good matches. We still got some. We got some New Japan young guys on there. Shouts to you, you're more for appearing on the 0 hour show.
And he got his music played. Go ahead,
exactly.
You're important.
Absolutely, man. That was yeah, man. I enjoyed the pay-per-view overall. Watched it later than most people due to circumstances beyond my control. But they're I think, yeah, man, I enjoyed the show. Like Professor Kris was saying, I knew about Ospreay, I knew about Swerve as well. Good surprises as well. We'll get to it. So let's break it on down.
Yes, got a couple of comments to highlight here. We got 2FK, who was the brother who gave us a whole bunch of pushback about Hangman beating Ospreay, but he seems to be good enough with AEW that he says, yeah, I attended the show last night. It was mostly excellent. Ospreay is truly the GOAT. Real love letter to NJPW 2015 through 2023. Main event scene with that babyface team. Yeah, like that babyface team was like the all-star team. Like I went with on my predictions the Death Riders and the Young Bucks only because I knew how the show would end. I didn't expect them to just do an angle after the matchup. See, that was my mistake because I should have known with that babyface team, there's no way they're losing, especially not in Tanahashi's last show in AEW. Like that's probably because that's how it was said backstage. Fightful reported that everybody was treating, going up to Tanahashi like this was the last time he'll be performing for AEW and his last time in the UK. So should have known. I should have known. That's my mistake. We got Parjar Finisher talking about MJF. He said he's a great wrestler. The match was just so convoluted. I will say the ending of the match before we get into it was definitely overbooked. Definitely overbooked. It didn't need to be. And if you're learning from match to match, what happened in the last match with Mark Briscoe, Bryce should have done better than what happened in that matchup. Going by kayfabe standards, I'm just looking at it from a kayfabe point of view. This is the same referee that just did this. You should know better, even if you're not loopy or anything like that. Because he took a nap right after 3. Luis says, I thought it was a good show with some weird finishes, but otherwise another consistently great pay-per-view. We got 2FK who says best matches were the cage match and the TNT title match. Fletcher will be in the main event scene in 2026. No doubt whatsoever when it comes to that. We also got Call Me Mr. Vonda who says, I was never a fan of MJF, but even I know that's cap. Overbooked, yes. Worst match, all of a sudden niggas have the amnesia about Cena beating Cody by way of a Fiend rapper at Mania. I just still have Fiend. We got also I Make Beats who says Fletcher and Aromu cooked. They gotta run it back. G136. So some good thoughts in the chat. Keep coming with those thoughts in the chat. Send a super chat donation if you want to show your support to the channel and what we do here. Let's get into what happened on 0 Hour. We had a bunch of multi-man matches, multi-man and multi-woman matches on 0 Hour. First up was an 8-man tag team matchup as Crew, Leo Rush, Action Andretti teamed up with Lance Archer and Hechicero of the Don Callis family to verse the Paragons, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion El Desperado, and Yuya Uemura. So we got a party match right out the gate. Some good action in this one. The Crew was bumping around for everyone here. Despy got a little bit of shine. Hechicero as well. Crew got to do some double team action, looking good there, as well as Paragon. Really, the goal of this matchup was to kind of put over Hechicero heading into his ROH World Title matchup, but also Yuya Uemura for the babyface side, as he would get the victory. He avoided a frog splash from Leo Rush, and then ultimately put him away with the deadbolt suplex for the 1-2-3. Post-match, O'Reilly celebrated with Uemura, saying that was dope as hell before the Callis Crew put a beat down on the victors. The sirens played out, and Tomohiro Ishii came out. He power walked to the ring. He faced off with Lance Archer, waiting for a stare down. Ishii broke free of a choke slam and planted Archer with a big brain buster to a huge pop. O'Reilly wanted to celebrate with the conglomeration, but Strong pulled him away. J News, any thought on this 8-man tag? Thought it was a decent way to kick off before everybody was in their seats. I gave it 3 stars. What did you think?
Yeah, man, decent match. I was just glad to see one of the younger generation guys on the card. Yuya Uemura being that particular member of the NJPW roster on there. Like you said, this was more or less of a match to showcase Hechicero before he runs the gamut of Bandito on Friday, I believe. Death Before the Honors. Yeah. So they're gonna do that at the 2300 Arena, and it was Despy got his match in. I know Sanal was scared that Despy wasn't going to be on the show. He was on the show wrestling, so that was cool. I must say that I don't know how to feel about Hater Roderick Strong. I don't know how to feel about Hater Roderick Strong. I love me the conglomeration. I think that those guys are fun for AEW, how they all get along and how and all that jazz. But Roddy, I think, I don't know if they're going to have him in that feud with Kyle Fletcher sooner rather than later. I hope that they do, because
same.
Roderick Strong's one of the best professional wrestlers to ever step foot in the ring. And I think at the rate that Fletcher's going, I think that match needs to happen sooner rather than later. But you know, Roddy having fun, it has been cool to see over the last couple of years on AEW TV. So I would like him to immerse himself and conglomerate if he could. So, but yeah, I thought it was a good match overall.
Kris?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I did have to speed watch through this match, but Ishii, love seeing him. Leo Rush, I'm just glad he's working in a major company, doing his thing, and you know, it was fine filler. Even though I sped watch through it this morning. So.
Next one was a little bit better here. Honestly, I thought this next matchup was better than some matches on the main card, as you had trios action of Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, Toa Leona and Bishop Khan versus Jet Speed, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight, along with the UK's own Michael Oku. Michael Oku got a massive ovation, and anytime he was in the ring with Ricochet, this crowd was eating it all up. This crowd was very much into this matchup, especially one of the scariest spots of the whole entire night, as Oku goes for his signature Floss Fairy flop over the top rope, no hands dive, and he lands face first onto the floor after Toleona catches him with a pounce, and he takes the full dive, gnarly looking dive on his neck on the outside. That was fucking scary as hell. You get at the end, though, it looks like the baby faces are going to pick up the win. You get Oku locks on the half crab. Jet Speed tried to hold off Gates of Agony, but Ricochet raked the eyes to get free. Huge shotgun dropkick by Khan. They get to open the gates on Oku, and then Ricochet gets the Gates of Agony to hold up Oku so he can hit him with the Spirit Gun for the 1, 2, 3. The crowd was definitely quiet at the end when they knew Ricochet was getting the win. They really wanted to see Oku get the victory here. I really love this matchup. I gave it 3 3/4 stars. This was definitely the best match on the pre-show for me. Kris, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was the great match too. And I like seeing Ricochet. He seems to be really enjoying himself in this role. And yeah, and this wasn't the only match that had scary spots, but this was the first match that I saw. I saw it this morning, but it was the first. Like, my gosh, man, wow, man. I hope that the insurance and stuff in AEW is excellent, because you know, that shit was tough to watch sometimes.
Yeah, I seriously agree with you there. J News, what about you?
Yeah, look, Michael Oku's a tremendously talented dude, but there are times where I will side or sound like an old ass man. Brother, ain't no need for that. Wasn't no need for that.
Yeah.
You ain't have to do all that, brother.
I think he's great. I think he's fantastic. I think he's great. I think he's one of the best professional wrestlers and products to come out of Brit Rest in the last 5 to 7 years. So I thought, I mean, there was rumors about it, right? Nothing was necessarily confirmed about Michael Oku being signed to AEW/ROH. That's never necessarily been fulfilled. But watching him is always cool. I think, you know, his chemistry with Jet Speed really worked well in this match as well. I think for lack of time of them being together, the combination of GOA and Ricochet has really gelled real quick. So I like that for Ricochet. Like Professor Kris said, I think Ricochet in the role that he's currently playing right now is only a plus, an addition to the AEW roster. He might see himself in that title scene sooner rather than later, due to circumstances, right? But let's see if he can sink or swim. And at the end of the day, you know, they're giving him stuff that he can sink his teeth into, which is what people wanted at the end of the day. But this was a terrific match, and now he's adding the rich guy complex to his character, which I think is funny as well. Man had Louis V boots on last night. So,
He's balling. He's styling on y'all.
Exactly.
We got Lexi Nair is backstage with Don Callis, asking if he's worried about all the titles the family has on the line tonight. Callis says heavy is the head that wears the crown, and he's taken the most expensive insurance policies to make sure they retain their gold. Callis calls Prince Nana a psychotic and questions Swerve Strickland taking advice from him, while Okada has someone like Callis. Also, he said that Kyle Fletcher would crush his old pal Hiromu on their way to victory. Then we get our women's party match of the pre-show. It is Megan Bayne teaming up with the Triangle of Madness, Tekla, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue versus Willow Nightingale, Kris Statlander, Queen Aminata, and Harley Cameron. Harley Cameron is just so over. She got arguably one of the biggest pops. Willow definitely got the biggest pop for all of these ladies on this pre-show matchup. She definitely should not be on the pre-show. She was just in the co-main event of Double or Nothing. Please remember that, Tony. But yes, this matchup was really about putting over the heel team, as well as the ongoing story between Willow Nightingale and Kris Statlander that has literally been going on for more than a year. That is ridiculous. I hope we have an end game in sight. This was able to continue that while also keeping up the bad blood between Aminata and Tekla, who brawled all the way to the back before the finish of the matchup. The finish saw the returning Harley Cameron actually take the loss here as Megan Bayne hit her with the Liger Bomb for the 1-2-3. Pretty decent matchup here. I enjoyed what the ladies offered. I gave it 3 stars. Not the best matchup. We got the little miscue at the end where Statlander accidentally hit Willow. So to continue that story there. So I'm frustrated with the placement of Willow Nightingale and Kris Statlander. They're 2 of the best women's wrestlers in the world today, like top 10, definitely in North America. And the fact that they just have them just aimlessly in this multi-woman matchup on the pre-show, it's not right. It's not right. These women are way too talented. They should be in the title picture. They should be on the main card. Do better, Tony. Chris?
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I'm getting kind of the Kris Statlander, Willow Nightingale stuff is kind of just, it was old in the last pay-per-view, and now it's just kind of like, force feeding us this whatever's going on. But there, at some point, there does need to be a culmination, So, but yeah, I thought the match was fine. The like you said, the ladies continue to produce, and I agree about Willow Nightingale and Statlander. They do deserve better pay-per-view placement. But what can you do, right?
J News, what did you think?
So with all this, to talk about Willow and Stat, I think I agree with you guys to a certain degree, right? It's been over a year that they've been working with this particular storyline. Will they, won't they? Are they going to get back together? Are they going to be friends? Are they not going to be friends? I only see a pivot point at this point with everything because of the interactions between Stat and the Death Riders. So they're going to keep that. I think they're going to keep that Willow Nightingale thing open, but they're going to pivot and concentrate more on Stat with the Death Riders thing going forward. I don't know where Willow falls into place with any of this, or even in her own.
That story's been literally going on for like 2-3 months, and we've gotten little to no progression.
I hear you. And I'm not going to sit here and disagree with you, but at the end of the day, right? AEW's always prided themselves in long-term storytelling, and sometimes they don't know when to pull the trigger. So timing, like I said last time on our preview, timing is their enemy. So they have to get better with their timing with stuff, especially with the storylines and when to pull triggers on certain things and certain talents. So in this case, they got to get it together there for the ladies overall. I want to ask you gentlemen a question because I saw a comment online from a person I don't even know, but it was interesting to read. And people seem to agree with this person in terms of Megan Bayne. Do you find Megan Bayne boring?
I don't. I think she's fine. Yeah, I don't necessarily find her boring. I mean, she's not the. I mean, she's no Tony Storm, you know, but I mean, she's fine, you know, in my opinion.
What about you?
I don't think that Megan Bayne is boring. I think AEW's presentation of Megan Bayne is boring.
Right. Yeah.
She's just stockpile monster heel who hangs out with a smaller second who gets beat up for her.
Yeah. She's
I feel like I've seen different version of this, like whether it's Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, whether it's like I've seen this act before, and it feels a little too familiar, and I don't think that she has the charisma to make it something more than it is. But I think that Megan Bayne just being the monster, the Megasis, that's the character that works. That's what worked. That's what got her over. Is like for better or worse, people say, "Oh, she should have won the title." But I think the best presentation of Megan Bayne was the feud with Timeless Tony Storm. That made her feel like a monster. She didn't lose anything when she lost to Tony Storm with the way that she did with the big package. I didn't think she lost anything. They just didn't have a proper follow up for her since.
Yeah. Follow up has been an issue with certain talent. I personally don't think she's boring just because of the way that she's been used per se. I think her presentation when she comes out to the ring is great. But overall, from a character standpoint, it definitely has lacked. Like you said, SP3. You know, she's the heavy, right? So Penelope's the small person. You know, it's the HBK Diesel dynamic and whatnot, which you know they do in the WWE as well. So I'm not too sure how. It's good for Penelope, but it's not good for Megan necessarily, right?
And it's only good for Penelope because now she has something to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that this is like the greatest story ever.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Megan is just doing what TK is
asking her to do,
firing her to do. Yeah, it's not. I blame if you have an issue with it. I think it's more on TK than it is on her.
1000% agree there. So it seems like everybody in the chat is kind of in the middle on Megan Bayne. It seems we got Michael Allen Lewis who says yes, she don't talk at all. 2-minute squash matches again, no direction. Being a monster heel to enhancement talent is boring. So there we go. There we have it. That's Michael. Thank you, Michael. And next we had Lexi Nair was waiting for the Young Bucks backstage, who walk in with one-day talent name tags. They berate a production worker demanding their introduction be changed for tonight, saying they'll play their old song and order him to find the most dangerous weapons on the streets of London and put them in a bag under the ring for the main event. If he doesn't, they saw what happened to Justin Roberts last week. Remember this particular backstage segment because it gets paid off very nicely with both of those things in the main event. Then you had Tony Schiavone welcomes Dr. Martha Hart, Oj Hart, and Tony Khan to the stage. Khan thanks the crowd for making this the highest attended wrestling show at the O2 before handing the mic to Martha. She thanks Khan, saying that while they like MJF, they're cheering for Hangman tonight. Khan puts over the Owen Hart Foundation tournament this past year and new champions being crowned. Then we get our final 0-hour matchup. The Ops, Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs defending the AEW World Trios Championships against the Bullet Club War Dogs, Clark Connors, Drilla Maloney, and Robbie X. As expected, when this match was announced on Collision, it was a battle of LA Dojo teacher versus student early on, as Shibata and Connors wasted no time just clubbering at one another. We get the big forearms, we get the big chops. This is something that probably Clark Connors has wanted to do since Shibata was making him do push-ups in that sweaty LA Dojo. We get some Samoa Joe and Drilla Maloney going at it. You get Powerhouse Hobbs going at it with Robbie X. Robbie X got to do the Joe nope spot, which was fun. We got Drilla Maloney trying for Drilla Killer, but Hobbs reverses it and hits a spine buster. Joe made the tag. He planted Robbie with the snap power slam. He puts him in position on the ropes, but the Bullet Club breaks it up. They try to hit the triple team, but Shibata and Hobbs made the save. Shibata just sauntered over, calmly kicked the middle rope, crotching Gato as Shibata and Hobbs held off Maloney and Connors. Joe finished off Robbie with the muscle buster for the 1-2-3. The Ops pulling off the victory here in not the hardest of fashion, but a tough matchup nonetheless. Solid work overall. I gave this 3.25 stars. What did you think, Kris?
Yeah, it was fine. I have a soft spot for the Ops, but it's one of those things where it's just when you've got such an abundance of talent in both shows, somebody's got to do the pre-show, but it also begs the question, like with for me with Will Hobbs, like where he was at when he had that match with Moxley on TV a while back versus kind of still like languishing in uppercard stuff. And I don't even know, it might not even be fair to call it languishing. It's just I want to see some active upward mobility with these guys, and maybe it's just just the nature of the beast right now. It's just maybe too many people on the roster.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I love Hobbs. I love his look. He could definitely be like the top monster heel, a top challenger for the AEW World Championship. But the direction I've seen AEW going in is they want the best of the best in the main event scene.
Right.
I don't think Hobbs is like a top 10 guy, even when it just comes to like male talent. I think I can name 10 guys on the male roster that I would put in the main event before him. I think that he's filling a spot right now. Can he be doing more? Most definitely. But I think that he's doing well with what he's been given for now.
Right, yeah.
J News, what did you think?
I'll say this, and I've been a big proponent of this before. I'll say it here so that the majority of the folks can hear this. I feel like AEW is primed to have just a big old meat division. And they hinted at it last year. Now that the Warfather's back with the Don Callis family, you know what I'm saying? And Lance Archer's healthy and Will Hobbs is healthy. And obviously you still got Samoa Joe there. Like you got more than enough to have this big meat division. Pause me, but yeah. So
pause me.
So at the end of the day, I think they can do something with that. If they want to interject it into just Collision or just be a Dynamite thing, just so they can spotlight those guys and they don't get forgotten per se. The Trios Championship thing is interesting to me. I thought the match overall on 0 Hour was fine. They have a lot of Trios like factions together, factions of 3, but they don't necessarily do the Trios thing. So I feel like if that's something that they wanted to emphasize at any point, that they could, the company at large. So I would like to see the Ops mix it up with the Ricochet and GOA, mix it up with the Hurt Business Civ if MVP wants to wrestle, conspicuous by his absence, by the way, yesterday. I'm saying so whatever tandem of 3 guys from the Don Callis family and what have you, so they have plenty of talent in order to do that and keep that a viable belt in the collection of AEW championships. So it's just something to think about in that particular perspective. But I also agree with Professor Kris with the upward mobility part of it, right? I'm not saying that dudes need to be in the main event scene,
right? Yeah,
but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we had the unified championship, we have the TNT championship, let's see if we can gather those guys in that purview there, and then go from there.
I can agree with that for sure. We got.
And I like for me, it's not even about is Hobbs a top 10 talent or not. It's more about, is he being groomed to be something bigger than he is? And I just don't know if that's the case or not.
That's fair. We do got a super chat donation here from our good brother Genesis J. J News' #1 fan. He says, I would have loved a Will versus Drilla match. I guess he's talking about for last night. It wasn't in the cards, but you did get to see Drilla Maloney at least on 0 Hour. I thought it was good use of the War Dog. I figured that would be the matchup that they would get, is them in the Ops, and I think we talked about that on the preview, didn't we, J News?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we figured that would end up being the case, and it was the case. And yeah, man, we'll see where it goes from here. Hopefully, a better end of the year for New Japan, and we'll see as to how AEW starts to deliver on their storylines going into the fall and the winter.
So then we had the opening matchup on 0 Hour. They announced the opening matchup would be Adam Copeland and Christian Cage versus the Matriarchy, Kill Switch and Kip Sabian, with Mother Wayne in their corner. Copeland on social media said that the other day that he was soaking all of this in, and hearing the O2 singing loudly to his theme music was a moment that I hope he never forgets, because that was awesome. It was an awesome moment. Love the European crowds, the international crowds that go all out for Cope's theme song. Bryan Danielson was on commentary, so this was a point up for commentary. Commentary was much better on this show than it is on Dynamite usually. As he said, he would have let Cage start the match if he were Copeland, to prove Cage was honest and loyal. As soon as Christian saw Killswitch was going to start the matchup, he got the hell up out of there. But we get that was kind of the dynamic early on, was Christian avoiding being gun shy to fight his former muscle. He was okay with fighting Kip Sabian, but whenever Killswitch was in there, he skedaddled up out of there. At one point, Kip Sabian gets busted open. I don't know if this is from a punch or something otherwise, but it was very weird how it happened, because he just suddenly just started bleeding out of nowhere, seemingly. A lot of good tag team work. Once the rhythm, they got their rhythm under them, Cope and Christian, you would have thought that they've been teaming up still 4 years, and that it hadn't been 14 years since they last teamed. It was cool to kind of see Christian back on the babyface side of the ledger and having a comeback, making the hot tag and coming in. That was cool to see, seeing him finally stand up for himself and fight against Killswitch at the end. Killswitch had Cage in his clutches from the apron, but Copeland charged in. He hits a big spear through the ropes to take him out to the floor. Cage tried a spear on Sabian, who hit a pump kick. Sabian tries a kill switch, but Christian instead catches him, pops him up. So Copeland comes in and hits the spear. 1, 2, 3. Christian Cage and Adam Copeland win in their reunion matchup here at Forbidden Door. The crowd was into all of this. They very much enjoyed seeing Christian and Cope back together. And I love the dynamic with Christian still being an asshole and a dick. I think if this is the way they're going to tell the story, this is the proper way. After what was the reunion on Dynamite, it felt really rushed. I think they've been taking the right steps between the promo on Wednesday and then this matchup and the dynamic there. Take the right step to kind of tell the story the proper way. J News, what did you think about Cope and Christian's reunion?
I thought that to your point, SP3, I thought that they looked real good, even with a decade plus away from being a tag team. They look seamless out there. I think the story which they also continued in a backstage promo with Kip Sabian and Mother Wayne. The story being that Kip Sabian doesn't trust Killswitch, aka Luchasaurus.
And he was disrespecting Luchasaurus throughout this matchup.
Throughout the match,
he was Christian.
So exactly. So he was basically acting like his pseudo father in this match against Killswitch, aka Luchasaurus. And also, I believe, from a moment to moment standpoint, just in sequencing, right after Killswitch, I believe choke slammed Kip. He went for his face, and then Kip went to the outside, and then you saw Kip bleeding. I was like, maybe he got his finger or nail caught in his face. I don't know, whatever case. But that's where the blood started and all that. But that adds to the why Kip Sabian might not want to trust Kill Switch and stuff like that, because he's in a very random case just hurting him and stuff like that. So it adds to it in that case. That's the understanding of that particular story there, which would then lead to future things happening with Kill Switch and maybe a reunion of sorts with another act that I've been talking about for months that other people don't want to get on board for, but all of a sudden everybody can see it now, can't they? Right? So it's like
you jackoffs.
Listen,
all
man.
you jackoffs ready to ejaculate for Perry.
Man, but we'll see Jack soon enough at the end of the day. So I think they're gonna put them back together, but I don't think they're gonna be a face tag team. I think they're gonna keep them as heels. And we'll see them maybe once Nick Wayne gets back, it'll be, it's okay to do heel versus heel stuff at the end of the day. So maybe
I think Jurassic Express is better as baby faces.
Hey man, listen, everybody wants to be a heel nowadays, right? But
I don't think Jack was ever as good of a heel as he was a baby face. As a babyface, everybody was like, "Oh, this guy can be a future top babyface, future world champion." The kids would be behind him. As a heel, everybody was like, "Just go home."
I 100% agree. I think as a heel, you would think turning heel would bring somebody's charisma out of them, but to me, his charisma kinda just went really, really, really downhill, And I don't think people took him seriously as a heel, to be honest.
Unfortunate for him. Chris, what did you think about the Cope and Christian reunion match?
I mean, they're not gonna book this match and put the two of them together in London for them to lose. So, I mean, I thought it was great from that aspect. I think the story what they're telling with Cage, and I could be wrong, but I think he actually, by what that answer he gave on Wednesday, where he was saying he's fine as he is, I think he actually is still trying to find himself. I think that's kind of like the dynamic they're going with him, and I think that what you said, Sid, I think it works better that he is that for right now, because he hasn't really had any kind of moment that you're like, oh, okay, this is where he sees the light. He's still, a dick. It's just he's friends with somebody that's not a dick.
Pretty much, that's all it is. His friend is not a dick like he is. But then we had up next TNT Championship up for grabs. Kyle Fletcher with Don Callis and Lance Archer in his corner versus NJPW's pound for pound best, Hiromu Takahashi. This was my favorite moment of the night because my boy Walker Stewart replaced Tony Schiavone on the call. I was like, let's go, Walker. Also, Don Callis joined the commentary table. So we had Callis, Brian, Excalibur, and Walker Stewart. This was an all-star lineup at the commentary table, and I think it made the match better. Danielson says that he hoped Callis would have brought the painting of Kyle Fletcher and himself, but Callis said he's working on one of Danielson. It's his headstone. Despite that, Danielson puts over Fletcher as the best young talent in AEW and a future AEW world champion. Fletcher was able to avoid the early speedy offense from Takahashi by keeping him grounded, slowly picking him apart, stomping at the arm. Callis put over Fletcher's handsomeness, and Danielson said that he heard that there was interest in Fletcher from Taylor Swift, which got crickets, but I was cracking up. So he said that he heard that from Don Callis. Takeshita fought his way out into things with a snap, a Hurricane Rana, and almost a reverse Rana from the inside to the floor. Fletcher fights off a time bomb, but both traded suplex attempts until Takahashi connected with the dragon screw. Then you get both exchange half and half suplex until Fletcher hits a massive Michinoku driver into a double down, which Callis called the Proto Star driver. To the corner they go. Hiromu wanted a Casadora, but Fletcher held on and powered into a snazzy snap avalanche back suplex. A huge Liger driver followed for a near fall, leaving Fletcher frustrated. Dueling chants from the crowd as Hiromu starts no-selling strikes. He starts laughing them off like a masochist. He's just until he gets a big boot to flatten him. He only kicked out at one, though, which shocked Fletcher. They go to the apron where Fletcher wanted a brainbuster, but Takahashi held on and face plants Fletcher with a huge DDT onto the apron. He follows with the sunset flip powerbomb to the floor. Me and Jay News, who watch New Japan all the time, we haven't seen that in months and years. Quickly back inside, you get a lariat that he turns Fletcher inside out with as both exchange forearms. Fletcher wanted a Liger bomb, but Takahashi snapped into a destroyer for a 2 count. He hits the dynamite plunger, the time bomb 1.5 or time bomb HQ, connects for another near fall. Both traded tombstone attempts until Fletcher was finally successful with one for 2 count. We get a running boot in the corner, running boot to the neck. Then Fletcher tries to follow up with the brain buster, but Takahashi rolls through into a cradle. Fletcher holds on, picks him up, and drops him with the vertical drop brain buster for the 1, 2, 3. Kyle Fletcher retains the TNT championship. And this was an absolute banger. This was fucking awesome. I loved every minute of this. This was Hiromu Takahashi reminding folks, because people were actually sleeping on Hiromu heading into this, man. It's like, oh, is Hiromu still that good? Is he that old? I'm like, dude's only in his late 30s. That's like early 20s in Japan. Some of these guys don't hit their prime till like their late 40s. Like he's perfectly fine. And he went out there and he proved it. This was a banger. It was a bunch of great action. It started slow, but when it got going, the near falls was on point. Hiromu had the fired up comeback. Fletcher is so good in these style of matchups. I give it 4.25 stars. Kris, what did you think?
Yeah, I liked it too. And I think Kyle Fletcher is continuing to like grow as a talent. I'm glad that I heard some scuttle a couple months ago about him getting punished or whatever. I'm glad that's not true. And I think he's bringing a lot to the table. One of the commenters said that he was going to be a main eventer in 2026. I hope so. I mean, I can't call that there's so many guys in line in AEW that I can't really call it, but the match was great. And Takahashi, like you said, he's fine. And like, I was watching a YouTube video yesterday with my wife, and they showed how people looked in the 70s that were like 43 and 44. And apparently like Archie Bunker was like 45 on that show and looked like he was 65. I think people are aging differently. It's not, like if you look at Paul Rudd, that guy's like 53 years old and looks 10 years younger than like Archie Bunker or the people that were old back then. So I mean, Takahashi's in good shape for the future and all that. So I want to just say that.
Jay News, what did you think?
Yeah, it was great to see Hiromu Takahashi do the damn thing like I felt like he would. He did the damn thing. And I knew that AEW wouldn't do me wrong. And I knew that AEW would have the great Walker Stewart on the call for the New Japan matches, and when I heard his voice, I was like, I know what he's doing for Stardom. He has a specific position there with their marketing and branding for the ladies in Stardom, outside of just doing the commentary. Obviously, he does full-time commentary for New Japan Pro Wrestling, but god damn it, man, if I could hear Walker Stewart on AEW on a weekly basis, I damn near would love to hear that, man.
Him and Brian were exceptional together.
Fantastic, man. And to piggyback off of what the majority of the internet is getting right this time around about Forbidden Door, Bryan Danielson was great. I feel like he should be on commentary full time. Either have him on Collision or Dynamite. If Brian,
please, Dynamite.
Yeah.
To keep him away from Nigel. Put Nigel on Collision and Brian on Dynamite.
Fair enough. Brian on Dynamite. If Brian can't wrestle, let him do something if he wants to at the end of the day, right?
Right.
If he wants to do it full time, where it's just once a week, him getting on the microphone, him being there with Excalibur or Taz or Ian Riccaboni, because I'm a big Ian Riccaboni fan. That would be great. At the end of the day, I think that Brian, if he wants to extend his wrestling legacy, being a commentator is where he needs to be. But the match itself was fantastic. I can't say anything more than what's been said about Kyle Fletcher at this point. The kid is tremendous, man. Super talented. For those, even if this is the caveat for AEW about AEW doesn't create stars, right? Which I think is bullshit. But at the end of the day, Kyle Fletcher is a star. At the end of the day, the proto star is not just a nickname. That shit is real. I want to see as to where his TNT defenses go. I, for one, even though I myself am not a fan of pink, I myself am clamoring for a pink strap for that TNT championship just to go with Kyle, so he has his own thing to go with it. And he continues his ascension on AEW TV. Whoever he wants to face, man, he's gonna put a good match in there with the likes of whoever. So definitely looking forward to Kyle's future. And Hiromu, man. Hiromu-chan, should I say? He has a date in Noah in about a week or so.
Yes.
So may he be the next GHC junior heavyweight champion if that all comes to bear.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate commentary making the reference for people who didn't know Hiromu, saying that he's like a Japanese version of Darby Allin, when I've been asking for Darby versus Hiromu for the past 3 years now.
Yeah, nah, man.
I don't appreciate that.
You missed the boat, man. You missed the boat.
I don't appreciate it. Don't tease me like that. Then of course, Walker stayed on the call because up next we had the TBS Championship up for grabs. Representing AEW, Alex Windsor, who got a good reaction back in the UK. You had Persephone representing CMLL, as well as Bowzilla, who got a big reaction from this crowd because she had this killer mask on that made her look like a female Vader. And then, of course, Mercedes Moné, who wore the gear she was supposed to wear for the Spring Breakthrough show, which is why she had the NWO references, because if you remember, the Spring Breakthrough show was the show where they passed Nitro as the longest show in primetime on Turner Sports. This one, you had the pre-match video package, which did a good job of talking about the accomplishments of Persephone and Bowzilla for those who weren't in the know. Moné immediately found herself surrounded by the opposition in the ring once the match started and being tossed aside. You get Bowzilla showed off her strength by running through both Persephone and Windsor. Moné foolishly tried to schoolgirl on Bowzilla, who didn't even budge. Bowzilla pressed Moné over her head and tossed her to the floor onto Persephone and Windsor back inside. Bowzilla caught a crossbody from Persephone. I was like, Persephone ain't no small girl. This Bowzilla is a beast. Windsor locked in a sleeper, but Bowzilla still mowed her down and mowed down Moné, sandwiched all the ladies in the corner, finally missing a splash and spilling outside. You get Persephone and Windsor no-sold a whip attempt from Mercedes, leading to a double flapjack for a 2. We get a snap Hurricane Rana from Persephone, but Windsor responded with the Japanese arm drag. Barzilla returned and squashed both with a back suplex. You get Mercedes, who manages a code breaker, tried a crossbody off the apron, was caught. So Windsor flew in with a senton, and Persephone followed with a tope onto the pile. We get a series of pin attempts with Bozilla returned with a bear hug and an overhead throw to Persephone, where she almost landed on her head. We get, with Windsor locked in the Tree of Woe, we get Monet, Persephone, and Bozilla all fought up until Windsor powered up to cause a huge Tower of Doom spot. Spike DDT through the ropes on Bozilla as Persephone avoided a leg sweep, so resulting in Monet managing a double crucifix into a double statement maker. You get Windsor, who's able to break free and get a double sharpshooter onto both her opponent. Bozilla returned and stepped on the hands of Monet and Persephone, stopping them from tapping out. We get Bozilla, who hits a huge moonsault just after Danielson compared her punches to Vader. She busts out a Vader salt. You get Bozilla wanted a powerbomb on Monet, but she spun out and got enough of an overambitious Poison Rana. Bozilla, though, still mows down Windsor with a suplex and a clothesline. Bozilla stared down at Persephone on the floor, told her to get into the ring, but then she turned around on Persephone, so she's able to hit a Razor's Edge. Persephone looks like she's got the match all run after another Razor's Edge, but Mercedes Moné sneaks into the ring, gets a cradle for the 1-2-3 to pick up the victory. Everyone's in shock as Mercedes has somehow, some way found a way to retain her gold once again. Really good matchup. I thought they did a really good job of highlighting everybody in the matchup. I thought Persephone did really well. I thought she got a lot more offense than I'm used to seeing from her in her Ring of Honor, AEW, USA spots when she's not in CMLL, but she showcased her agility, her hard hitting in this matchup. I thought Alex Windsor comes out of this matchup. You can make the argument looking the best because the crowd was behind her. She had a really strong showing in this one. Mercedes Moné comes off as the resourceful champion who always finds a way to retain her title. But I think to me, though, there's no question who's the star of this matchup. It's fucking Bozilla. Bozilla, I knew she would do this. 21 years old. She's an absolute star. This is the one person that I know most fans of all things wrestling will look at this show and be like, yeah, AEW better work on that double contract or she's going to WWE. This is the person that you could say, you could make the argument like Stephanie Vaquero last year at Forbidden Door, like, oh man, WWE doing their scouting by watching Mercedes Moné matches because Bozilla gonna sign if WWE offer her a contract before AEW. So AEW, get on the ball because she's got the power, she's got the look, she's got aura in spades. She's absolute star. As soon as she made her entrance, I said that on social media. The match was really good. Like I said, 3 3/4 stars. Chris, what did you think?
Yeah, I didn't know a whole lot about Bozilla or Persephone for that matter, but I thought this was a very good showcase match. You know, Alex Windsor, I think, like you said, I think she comes off the best just by the sheer crowd reaction. Mercedes kind of cracked me up in the scrum yesterday with she's talking about some steak she ate or something. It was funny.
She's like, oh, it was so good.
Yes, but yeah, man, I appreciate it. I still keep hearing the narrative that Mercedes AEW is a flop, and then I saw Jim Cornette say that bullshit. I was like, what? Anyway,
people are still listening to Jim Cornette in the year of our Lord 2025.
It came up in my rabbit hole, so I was just like, okay. I was like, where the hell is this bullshit? But at least I had a source where that's coming from, man. It's like,
yeah,
that is objectively false, you know. But anyway, great match. And I thought it was a great multi-women match too. I don't usually love those, but I thought this was really good.
Yes, totally agree with you there. J News.
I thought that the match went really well. for all four ladies, as you guys were saying. Bozilla was the standout. I was surprised. And mind you, I've watched Bo for the 3 years of her duration as a wrestler. At the end of the day, she started out in Stardom, went to Marigold, now she's back in Stardom, and it was only going to be a matter of time before this happened, right? Because it's one thing for you to be a big girl in wrestling, right? And I say big as in tall, because she's a tall girl. She's 6'1" at the end of the day. And dude, she made Persephone look small. And I was like, that's a thick girl. Like
when she picked her out of the sky on the crossbody, I was like, holy shit,
I was different. Like, God damn. And to be 21, I thought she was in her mid-20s, to be honest. I was like, oh, she's only 21. That's crazy. And mind you, like I said, I've been watching her matches, but a lot of it is with Japanese commentary at the end of the day. So it's like, if they ever said her age, I wouldn't know. So for all intents and purposes, great moment for her, great moment for Persephone as well. She looked great in this match. I think from everything that's been reported over the last several months, things of that nature, that CMLL and AEW put securities in place for what happened with Stephanie Bacher last year not to happen again. So I don't think anybody should worry about either Persephone or Bozilla going anywhere anytime soon, per se.
I think that Persephone probably has a dual contract. I just don't know. I don't know about Bozilla with Stardom and AEW.
She just got back to Stardom, so I don't know if she's got a deal or not over there. Wanted to mention this: B. Priestley just got a new deal with Stardom, so she's back there full time. But you know, like you said, veteran wrestler in Mercedes, she took advantage of everything that was going on in the ring, and she was able to escape with her championship. Alex Windsor. Dude, like the way she's been positioned since she's got there, like it's been impressive, and she's been able to hold up her end. And I figured that she would, because she's been good for years, man. So great to see for her. Hopefully she more forward mobility for her. I thought that this match really went well for all the ladies. Want to see where they get Mercedes next. Like at this point, what I walked away from an overall feeling I walked away from with the show was, where do Mercedes and Tony go from here? Like, who are going to be their next opponents? Because it's like, to the point that we made earlier about Kris Statlander and Willow Nightingale, they're like in this flux. We don't necessarily know where the movement or the direction is in. Who goes into place for Tony and Mercedes next at this point? Yeah. So, but I really enjoyed the match, and all the ladies killed it, I thought. So props to all of them for showing out at that big show.
Yeah, got to give it up to all the ladies involved. Mercedes retains the gold, and she's I think like a few weeks away from setting the record as the longest reigning TBS champion of all time. So we'll see if she's able to capture another record to go along with everything else that she's either broken or set records on this run since leaving WWE. But let's talk about the next matchup, which was another title match, this time for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. And once again, we had Bryan Danielson on commentary with Walker Stewart for Nigel McGuinness challenging Zack Sabre Jr. Oh man, the pre-match of this was fucking awesome. You get video package of McGuinness walking around the streets of London before running into British wrestling legend Johnny Saint. That was a great touch, a great big pop for that. They play chess in the park and talk about Saint being untouchable as world champion, while Saint says that's true, but everyone is vulnerable. McGuinness gets checkmate, while Saint says now he's getting it to do the same thing at Forbidden Door. Unfortunately, no Oasis for McGuinness's entrance, but Excalibur did mention Oasis having a resurgence, just like McGuinness, who greeted Saint and Marty Jones, who were seated at ringside. Walker Stewart brings up that Sabre Jr., being a former G1 Climax winner, and Excalibur congrats the current G1 Climax winner for this year, Konosuke Takeshita, who I was shocked was not on this card. An impressive opening exchange between the two of mat work. You get both trying to keep the other grounded while the other having counters for everything. Sabre zoned in on the left wrist and arm, but McGuinness got up and smirked before taking Sabre down. You get McGuinness snap the arm, but ZSJ was right back to respond, taking McGuinness down, snapping his neck with his feet in an impressive showing. You get McGuinness spun out on a front face lock, blocked a corner charge into a combo, leading to a double down. We get a huge corner uppercut, anticipation lariat that turns Sabre completely inside out for a 2. We get the London Dungeon applied, but Sabre Jr. quickly got to the ropes, signaling to Bryan Danielson on commentary, does Nigel, that he's got till 5 referee, as Nigel. I love Bryan at the beginning of the matchup said, I'm not going to be like Nigel McGuinness. I'm not going to badmouth Nigel. I'm actually rooting for Nigel. I'm actually going to be different from Nigel. And I love that that Bryan naturally took the role of what Nigel did when he was talking during the Bryan Danielson Zack Sabre Jr. matchup at Wrestle Dream 2023, where he explained the 2 styles of technical wrestling that each guy has. He says, whereas McGuinness has a plan as he's more of the chess player, he was like, Zack is more of the jazz player. And Walker Stewart kind of said that, like, he's more of a jazz player. He sees it as classical music. So he just goes with the flow. He takes one move and it just parlays into the next thing that he's going to do. And that's why he's able to kind of adapt on the fly, and he's all about improvisation. We get both men trading a wild series of hard uppercuts as Sabre is now bleeding from the nose until they trade pin attempts. They knock heads. Only McGuinness is able to deliver the Nigel comeback lariat as a ripcord lariat took Sabre's head off for another near fall. We get the London Dungeon applied again, but Sabre Jr. is able to float over. McGuinness transitioned into a triangle choke. Garcia again pushed the ropes right in front of the referee, despite McGuinness not really knowing where that he was actually near it, and he was scolded for it. McGuinness snapped Sabre Jr.'s fingers to get free. Sabre went outside and got in the face of Garcia, who said that he's been waiting for a match with him. The distraction was enough for McGuinness to hit the Tower of London for a near fall as Sabre Jr. got his foot on the rope. Both men traded pin attempts, including a European clutch by Sabre Jr. for a 2 count. More pin attempts were countered until Sabre Jr. catches McGuinness in a flash pin, gets the 1-2-3 to retain the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. This was, in my eyes, a brilliant technical wrestling clinic. It was just so smooth, like the transitions, the counter work, the submission work, the mat work. This was Bryan Danielson on the call for this was awesome. And the crowd just being into everything the entire match. They loved every reversal, every submission. They were oohing and ahhing for rope breaks. You would have thought they were in Japan. And Bryan Danielson, just hearing the joy in his voice, just made this match all that much better. And I'm not going to argue with anybody. I saw it on my timeline personally. I saw a lot of people say this was their match of the night, and I don't blame them at all. I gave this match 4.5 stars. This is one of the best matches of the night for me. Jay News, what did you think?
I think that the way they went about building the story of this match, not only in the ring but outside of the ring, was very well done by AEW. To have that video play before the match with Nigel and Johnny Saint was tremendous. It was very well done. Then they had Marty Jones sitting at ringside along with Johnny Saint and things of that nature. So that was a good touch, an ode to the legends of British professional wrestling. And those 2 guys, man, Zack Sabre Jr. and Nigel McGuinness represent what British professional wrestling was for 2 different generations at the end of the day. So glad to see them be able to go toe to toe and do what they do, and the magic, the wizardry should I say, that they create with their technical wrestling. It definitely put a smile on my face watching all that. I yet again will say the roll up finish was something that I felt it just happened too fast. It just happened too fast. I was like, oh, give me a more solidified, either a chain of something that happened or a submission that would have happened. The quick roll up for me was a bit of a letdown, but the rest of the match was amazing. Nigel, for being a part-time wrestler who didn't wrestle for 11 years, damn well looks like he hasn't missed a step, especially in this match versus Zack Sabre Jr. So that one video clip that keeps playing online when Nigel is taunting and has his hands out, but is looking behind him to see when Zach's coming. And he hit it.
And then,
oh man, that timing is everything in professional wrestling, man. And that was such a sweet lariat from Nigel McGuinness. And there are times where I feel like Nigel's pulling punches and pulling his effects, for certain things. And it's understandable, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't know who wants what or who likes what or who can take what at the end of the day. And people are fucking sensitive nowadays. So what can you do, right? So,
very true. Very true.
I think that it was very well crafted. It played, and this is important too, for folks who don't understand. It played to the crowd. It's exactly what folks in the UK have been used to for decades at the end of the day, in the modern day. And people were behind it. People were into it. To what you were saying, SP3, I think having Brian on commentary during this match was great, because his enthusiasm towards the match made me feel a lot more engaged with everything that was going on, and I was really able to keep that pace and stay engaged with everything. So props to AEW for putting this together. And I want to see more of Nigel, man. I know he's in commentary and things of that nature. I didn't get to see Nigel in his prime. I was not watching ROH at that time a lot. I got to see him at the later part of his career, towards the tail end between 2009 and 2011. So I want to see more of what he can do. And yeah, man, ZSJ is still great. He's IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, and seems like we're going down a specific road with Zack Sabre Jr. and the one and only Takeshita in about a month or so, SP3. So that's to come ahead, but great match for them, and definitely appreciated what they were able to do with this one.
Kris, what did you think about ZSJ and Nigel?
Yeah, I loved the match. I thought it was great. I honestly, this is probably the best singles match I've seen out of Nigel since he started wrestling again. I'm not sure, but this was a very good match. And I want to say that I wasn't surprised that Zack Sabre Jr. won either. I think for that the storytelling with Nigel and Bryan Danielson is kind of coming full circle, because if my memory serves me correct, they both got signed to WWE at the same time.
2009.
And then Bryan ended up being able to stay in WWE, and Nigel, he had his medical stuff going on, so he couldn't sign. And he becomes Desmond Wolf in TNA, blah, 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 story continues. And the fact that Daniel said on commentary was like, I'm going to compliment, and it kind of got me thinking, like, imagine if, anytime Nick Khan talked shit about AEW or Triple H or all that, if Tony Khan was just like, yeah, I'm just going to compliment you and say good things back about you, how the world would be different. But and to TK's credit, he hasn't taken any of the bait from them in the last month or so. But I love the match. I do think this is probably when I started waking up, and during pay-per-view. I think this was like really, and not to say the rest of the show was bad. I think this was just a inflection point for me on the show. So I love the match. Yeah.
Yeah, we should mention immediately after this matchup, McGinnis was upset, but Sabre shook his hand and gave him the ring before showing respect to Johnny Saint and Marty Jones. Tony Schiavone got in the ring we thought it was for like comments with an interview with Nigel, or so the fans thought. But you get Garcia, who spins Nigel around, and everybody was thinking as soon as he came out with the black towel during the entrance, they was like, oh, he's definitely turning on Nigel. But he just turns around and hugs Nigel. They both leave the ring, and Schiavone was there only not to interview Nigel, but to announce the attendance for the show. 18,992. No turn from Garcia, but a huge number for AEW as they set the record for the largest attendance of a professional wrestling show at the O2 Arena. That is quite the honor for AEW, and something that they can kind of hang their hat on moving forward.
Right. Can I ask you a quick question about Nigel? So what is he just wrestling on a part-time basis, or is he like trying to get back to being full-time? Do you know?
No, he's just wrestling part-time.
Okay.
He knows his full-time career is over.
All right.
Yeah. We get Tekla and Queen Aminata. Like I said earlier, they got into the brawl and left the 8-woman tag on 0 hour. But then we see that they're still fighting all these hours later, which is 2 hours before this happened. They start fighting. They make their way down the entranceway. Aminata clocked Tekla with a headbutt to stand tall until Sky Blue and Julia Hart made the save. We get a 3-on-1 attack. Tekla does her spider pose until the music of Jamie Hayter hits. Hayter returns in front of the UK crowd for a second year in a row to a massive ovation. She charges out. She gets rid of Blue and Hart. Tekla dodges until the Triangle of Madness bail, with Hayter tending to Aminata standing tall. Big return, nice little surprise, because I don't think anybody was talking about, Hayter possibly returning on this show, but it makes sense, especially after last year at All In when she returned, and it made sense why Tony did this on the main card, because he got all the heat last year at All In when he did the return on 0 hour. So he was like, let me just do an angle and have her return on the main show this time. Right. J News.
Yeah, man, I thought this was talking about surprises earlier and stuff like that. This was a surprise I was not expecting. This is something that to me, she's always in the back of AEW fans' heads when it comes to the women of AEW. I know she's been suffering with concussion stuff as of late, or whatever the case is. And if this leads her to come back full time, I'm all for it. But great that she was able to make her return here, and it seems that she'll be involved with the Spider Lady and her team. So we'll see how it all goes from there. And Aminata needs. It seems like Aminata keeps on getting more and more help every week as things continue along. So we'll see how it all breaks down. But definitely glad to have Jamie Hayter back in AEW.
Aminata need a new friend every week to deal with the Triangle of Madness, it seems. Kris, any thoughts on Jamie Hayter's return?
It was cool seeing Jamie Hayter come back. I missed the whole brawl because I don't know, I was maybe ordered some Chipotle or something, and I was picking that up. So, but I did like seeing Hayter. That was cool.
Well, why did you pronounce it Chipotle?
I don't know. I didn't even notice I did that. But yeah, because I forgot, and I actually forgot what I ordered because I'm getting last night confused with the night before. So
it's okay. It's totally fine. But yes, I'm happy. I'm happy that Jamie Hayter's back, and she's back in an actual kind of like role of feud with Tekla, something that they set up before she left, which is more than I can say about the first time that she left AEW with an injury. So next up, you had the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. No MVP on the night as they come out. They facing FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler, and Brodito Brody King, and ROH World Champion Bandito. FTR targeted Lashley, while Brodito went after Benjamin at the bell, but Benjamin moved and King crashed hard on a missed crossbody against the barricade. Bandito managed a Hurricane Rana off the barricade as back inside, Bandito hit one on hardwood before a backslide got a 2. Lashley tagged in and started clearing house until he had a one-arm stalling suplex on hardwood before staring down Bandito that he can do it too. Shelton starts no-selling chops from Dax, and then bealed him across the ring. Harwood avoided Suplex City by tagging a Bandito, who sent Benjamin packing outside, where he met him with a tope suicida. You get Bandito tried another, but Benjamin quickly was back inside to mow him down, tagged in Lashley in for a spinning slam. Bandito continued being worked over by the Hurt Syndicate. Then there was a chance for FTR to tag in, so they tagged in and started working over Bandito. Bandito hits a tornillo on Shelton as King finally is able to get the hot tag. He runs wild on FTR. Bossman Slam plants Cash as King popped Lashley and Benjamin off the apron before squashing FTR in the corner with the splash and a cannonball. Lashley got in, and we have an intense face-off that brought the fans to their feet. The fans went crazy for the Brody and Lashley face-off. We got a forearm bottle until King ran into a huge spine buster from Lashley. He popped up and hits a big discus lariat, which gets a big response as well. Lashley sent out to the floor as FTR were met with Suplex City by Shelton, a pop-up knee on Bandito, rolling suplexes on Brody, then an inadvertent shatter machine by Wheeler and Brody on Shelton. We get King followed up with a tope on his own to take out the pile of superstars on the outside. Bandito and Harwood fought up the ropes as Bandito hits his avalanche revolution fly onto the pile. I was so scared Bandito was going to break his neck or break Dax's back. We get Stokely slid in a chair into Harwood, who waffled King with it, as there was three masked guys in NJPW tracksuits at this point who attacked Lashley and Benjamin and brawled with them up the aisle. It was then revealed that was Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. Back in the ring, Brodito fought off the cheating attempt by FTR and were able to hit he hits the powerplex, hits another one, then hits the running monkey flip 450, the catapult 450. Bandito makes the cover on Harwood, lost it during the first attempt. The huge initial prop for the 3 then had to be redone, and the second cover got the 1, 2, 3 as Brodito are your new AEW World Tag Team Champions. Huge upset, huge surprise victory here. At times, this match was looking like it was verging on the verge of being great. I think that if you don't have all the overbooking at the end and you hit that peak with the Revolution fly to the outside and then do like a great 5-minute sequence where Hurt Syndicate is thrown out of there and it just comes down to Brodito and FTR and they get the win the same way without the botch finish, I think that we're saying that this was a great matchup, maybe one of the best matches of the night because it's the only one with the title change. But the botch finish combined with the way they did the whole Ricochet and Gates of Agony interference, that was a clusterfuck and really confusing. They missed them taking off their masks. And what was the reason for them to wear masks and wear New Japan tracksuits? Why can't they just attack the Hurt Syndicate? None of that makes sense. Like, it was just, that confused me at first, and then the botch finish kind of took me out of it. So it's a very good matchup with not the best final 5 minutes. So I dropped it down to like 3 3/4, 3.5 stars. I'll probably lean toward 3 3/4 because it was really good up until the final 5 minutes. Chris?
Yeah, I thought it was a decent match. I think like with the Hurt Syndicate, there's only so many squash matches you could do with those guys. They didn't get pinned in the match, which I thought was interesting. We'll see what happens with that. But I was fine with Brodito winning because, like I said, the Hurt Syndicate, I think probably by the last pay-per-view, the act was not stale, and I won't even say starting to go stale, but I could start seeing the potential for it to get old to people. So I wasn't like completely upset about that. And I think MVP not being there is going to be part of the story too. So I'm interested to see where that goes.
Yes, that should be interesting for sure. J News.
Yeah. For the sake of just going back to what we talked about on the preview, I believe I was the only one to call Brodito winning the belts.
You did.
So pat on my back there for that one. But I do want to mention something that or something that I saw, right? Like you were saying at SP3, we had GOA and Ricochet come out in New Japan tracksuits with face masks on and all that jazz, and they attacked the Hurt Syndicate, right? Now, long-term storytelling, we got the explanation from Ricochet in post match or post event comments and stuff like that. I understood that from when I saw him take the mask off, and I was like, "Oh, we're going back to the MVP thing." That's what I said to myself, and I was like, "Okay."
I said MJF, but I understand this is the reason to put out there to not make it so obvious that it's really MJF.
So there's that part of it, right? So it and both things can be true, right? Both MJF wanting if he was going to win that match, not wanting Bobby Lashley to come after him, and then on top of everything else, MVP playing Ricochet at that time when Ricochet had just gotten to the company and all that jazz. So that all works in tandem at the end of the day. To your point, the reveal didn't come till after. And I didn't necessarily understand why they were in New Japan tracksuits. Couldn't they just have come out as themselves to do the run in and beat down and take out the Hurt Syndicate in that way? That I didn't understand necessarily. The finish itself, the pinning finish itself, I don't know what happened there. There was a miscommunication there, whatever you want to call it. But they definitely took the crowd out of it for that couple of minutes afterwards, because the pop was in the initial pin, and then when you did the pin over, it's like you lost it. You lost the momentum. But Brodito was able to get their win and their championship here. The match overall, I think, went very well. This was the Hurt Syndicate's best pay-per-view match to date for everything that they did during the match. And like I said, conspicuous by his absence, MVP not here. Hopefully nothing bad happened. And things of that nature. Hopefully, he's doing all right and all that jazz. But maybe it's a storyline thing. So we'll see how it all breaks down. I think I'm seeing a message here, Pete. No, that's not true about MVP not being able to travel overseas. He's been able to do away with that for years now. When MVP was in the WWE law team took care of that for him.
Yeah, and he was a youngin when he got in trouble for that, and he stayed in jail through adulthood, so it doesn't count quite the same way.
Exactly. Yeah. To Professor Chris's point. So like I said, it might be in storyline, it might not be. So depending as to how they play it up on AEW TV going forward, we'll see. So we'll go from there. And I think the Hurt Syndicate as a unit, their main goal, especially after I saw an interview with them and Chris Van Vliet, their main goal being in AEW is to help push the younger generation forward. That's what they want to do, as they also continue to rack up wins and belts. So I know they wanted to have a program with GOA, so they're getting their wish here. This is a start for it here, so we'll see how that tracks forward. And now Brodito gets a whole line of new tag teams that get the face, so that should be exciting going forward for them as well. And FTR will go off and do their feud thing with Cope and Christian at the end of the day. So,
which didn't need the tag team championship. Right. So I'm glad they made the pivot to Brodito, who deserved this opportunity and chance here. So let's talk about the next matchup, which was for the AEW Unified Championship. Of course, our main man, Jim Ross, back on AEW commentary. He chose Okada's matchup to do some commentary because he loves him so, Okada. as he's immediately disappointed that he has to be seated next to Don Callis, though. This is under Continental title rules, meaning no outside interference allowed, as well as no one at ringside. Don Callis is only able to join the commentary team, not be at ringside for Okada in this one. You get Swerve during his entrance. He comes out in Mr. Terrific inspired gear, which was a great touch there. You get Nana going right back to the back. Story in the early going was each had the other scouted very well until Okada puts the brakes on to look down at Callis, giving Strickland a chance for a kip up kick. Match spills outside where Swerve hit a pump kick on the apron and then backflip over the top rope onto Okada, but was shaking the bad leg out a bit. Back inside, Strickland kept Okada grounded until Swerve was slingshot outside, tried to land on his feet, but the leg buckled, and Okada followed up with a baseball slide. Okada delivered a brutal DDT onto the steel steps, spiking Swerve. Swerve legs almost went through the camera that was right next to the stairs. This is now showing the neck issues to go along with the bad leg. This was a cerebral attack by Okada, going from limb to limb. Swerve tried his rolling flatliner, but Okada countered into an air raid crash on the neck. Ever resilient, Swerve battled back and did manage to connect with the rolling flatliner into a suplex. Avalanche angle slam from Swerve, but he came up clutching his neck. Swerve gets a series of short arm lariats as Okada then tries to go for a Rainmaker after a series of short arm lariats himself, but Swerve countered it into a house call. Okada had Swerve's hand, but then Swerve was able to reverse it, and then he had wrist control. He hits short arm lariats and then wanted another house call, but Okada saw it coming, hits the drop kick out of nowhere. We get Okada goes for a Rainmaker, but Swerve avoids it, but then he hits another drop kick. Third Rainmaker is countered. This time Swerve hits Okada with a pop-up power bomb into a power slam. Swerve then delivers the Swerve stomp, but at what cost, as Swerve came up clutching his bad leg. Okada rolled out to the apron and cut off Swerve in the corner. He hit a knee breaker on the top turnbuckle. Both missed home run shots until Swerve managed to fire off a desperation house call. But as he called for one more, Okada ducked it. He hits him right in the knee and then hits the Rainmaker flush for the 1-2-3. I thought that this was excellent. Excellent matchup. This was another kind of wrestling clinic, kind of different from Sabre Jr. and Nigel, where it was more of like mat work and submission work, more like technical base. This was more kind of old school in nature. It was about the injured limb of Swerve going in, the bad leg. What Okada worked over in the matchup was the neck to set up the Rainmaker at the end. And then in the end, both things paid off. He hits the knee, hits the Rainmaker, one Rainmaker after like 3 attempts before that miss. He finally hits it. 1, 2, 3, match is over. It was so beautiful in its simplicity. I love this match. I'll probably be the high man on this match. I thought that this was excellent work from both men. Post-match, you get Okada. He traps Swerve's bad knee against the ring post and the steel steps. He then grabs a steel chair and he starts smashing Swerve's leg with the steel chair against the ring steps, injuring Swerve further. You get Prince Nana then ran out with the steel pipe to run off Okada and Callis, who escaped and were waiting on the entrance ramp. As Swerve was tended to by Nana, we see a returning Wardlow appear behind them to a huge ovation from this London crowd. Wardlow then absolutely squashes Nana, clotheslining his head off. Swerve was forced to watch Nana be destroyed by Wardlow as he starts raining down punches, and Swerve has no way to get up and stop him. Wardlow stared down Swerve before destroying 3 security guards with roundhouse lariat, F5, and then a powerbomb. Bryan Danielson says that this must be an insurance policy that Callis took out, the one that he mentioned earlier. So nice payoff there. Wardlow then meets Callis and Okada on the entranceway. He gives him a big smile and then a big hug with an even bigger smile as he hugs him. The rest of the Don Callis family are out to welcome the newest member, leaving it all to the final member, the most important member, the Steph Curry of this 2017 Golden State Warriors, Konosuke Takeshita, the G1 winner. He comes out to his music, a big pop from the crowd. Fans might have thought he'd feel differently, but Takeshita goes face-to-face with Wardlow. He shook his head in approval, giving him a nod to Callis and to Wardlow, as the Don Callis family were now stronger than ever, both literally and numerically. J News, what did you think about Okada versus Swerve? I thought that this was another one that was one of the best matches on the entire show. But most of all, what did you think about the post-match with Wardlow returning and joining the Don Callis family?
So post-match first, shouts to Maggie. Shouts to Maggie. For those in the chat who understand the
She manifested this.
She manifested this. She was figuratively and literally upset at me for saying miss me with this Wardlow crap last week. And here he is reappearing. I asked the question, where is he? Where is he? And here he is. I myself would have rather watched him pull off a symphony, but he only did the one power bomb on Nana, which was enough at the end of the day. So in this case, Prince Nana and Swerve Strickland getting written off of TV at this point. So Swerve will go ahead and take care of that knee, brother, because goddamn, 6 years with a torn meniscus is enough at this point. There's that. I thought the match itself, what like you said, SP3, classic pro wrestling, dog. Like working the limb. He worked not only the knee, but he also worked the neck. Swerve tried to keep him away as much as possible, keeping the length with his legs, even though his legs were being targeted. And you know, he couldn't go because he didn't have the strength in the legs to go blow for blow with Okada. So he was just trying to keep him at a distance. Swerve trying to do his best there, but great in-ring storytelling between all of them. As a matter of fact, for folks who just don't understand, this is one of the things that Kazuchika Okada is great at. This type of storytelling. So for folks who don't understand Okada much and don't understand why people think he's so great, this is part of the reason as to why people think he's so great, outside of the fact that he's a big match wrestler at that as well. The Don Callis family is enormously just they outnumber everybody at this point, right? Eventually they'll get Brian Cage back, so you know he's another monster they'll have at their disposal. But it seems to be that they are hinting at Takeshita turning face eventually. I know they started hinting at that with Kyle also a couple of months ago, but they've turned that flame down a bit. But who knows? We'll see how that teeter-totter goes into effect. I myself, after watching this take place and after the show ended, I said to myself, man, who's going to be next in line for Hanger, right? If they're going to keep on going, if MJF's going to execute the contract at one point, I expect Hanger to win again. Who then faces off versus Hanger? Will Hanger have his match versus Mark Briscoe? Does Hanger go into a feud versus, instead of the Death Riders, does he go into a feud against the Don Callis family? Do members of that family start to get shots at Hanger? They can go that route. So once I saw Wardlow come back, and I was like, is he going to get an immediate push? Is this just him being a part of another faction? Like, a lot of things can go into motion here. I liked the return of Wardlow here. Another surprise that I was not necessarily accounting for, but good to see him back. And hopefully he stays healthy this time around and we get more from the Warfather.
Yeah, I don't agree with this comment here from John Elite. Shout out to John Elite, one of our good brothers in the chat. He said, what are we doing with Wardlow? Dude went from MJF, tag team and feud with Samoa Joe, Undisputed Kingdom, and now Don Callis family. this actually is an upgrade from his last role. Like, I don't understand what did you want Wardlow to do if it wasn't joining the Don Callis family? Him joining the Don Callis family immediately gets him back in a consistent role on television where he doesn't have to be counted on to work singles matches after so long out of the ring. He can work multi-man matches before he gets his footing under him, and it puts him in the largest faction in all of AEW where he's positioned. I treat the Don Callis family like a basketball team. They needed somebody to get some rebounds and some low post scoring, and they got Wardlow. So that's the best we can do. He's a utility player. He's not a superstar. He's not an all-star. He could be an all-star in the right role, and this might be it. Kris, what did you think about Kazuchika Okada versus Swerve Strickland and the post-match with Wardlow's return?
Right, yeah. So this was the match out because before this match, I thought that Swerve was gonna win just because they've played so many games with him in this company this year. But once I got the full context of him, taking some time off and the surgery and all that stuff, and then issues, everything started making sense. So I liked the match. I thought the match was good. Wardlow coming back, I was cool with this. They do have a few monsters in that group, like with Lance Archer and now Wardlow, and I completely forgot about Cage, but he's going to be coming back soon too. So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic works. If Archer, if they've got something else planned for him, I'm interested. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, if I didn't mention before, I gave the match 4.5 stars. Like, I gave it the same rating I gave Nigel and ZSJ. That to this point, this was the best match on the show at this point. Then you had the AEW Women's World Championship up for grabs as Timeless Toni Storm defended against Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena with Billy Starks in her corner. We get an early baseball slide that sent Athena crashing into the barricade as Starks got into Tony's face. Tony just laid her out with a quick Storm Zero as a result. I thought this meant that this was going to be a quick matchup. Athena hits a flying shotgun dropkick, causing Storm to hit the LED barricade so hard that it turned off. It was all Athena after that as she drove Storm's head repeatedly into the post. We get a cravat applied back inside as there was a lot of posturing and posing from Athena, who countered a corner head scissors into a Casadora face buster into the turnbuckle. Athena mocked Storm's pose, giving Storm time to regroup with a fisherman suplex with a nice bridge for a 2 count. We get a leg sweep, big brute, neck breaker, butterfly suplex combo from Athena, who continues to pose. Storm dodged an O-face into a pop-up slam for a near fall. She tried for the TCM chicken wing, but that was countered into a backdrop driver by Athena, but Storm responded with a tornado DDT and a tiger driver for a 2 count. We get a strike battle as both ladies get to their feet, with Storm switching to Mongolian chops until Athena had to kip up thrust kick and then a home run right elbow for a 2 count. Storm went up in the corner as Starks recovered from earlier and ran distraction enough for Athena to hit a flying boot and a corner Hurricane Rana, holding on into a Liger Bomb for a 2 count. She then sank in a Koji clutch, but Storm was able to make the ropes. Storm got the TCM chicken wing again, but Athena was able to send her outside and hit a Lope to take her down. Athena wanted another power driver on the steel steps, but Storm was able to fight free. She slams Athena into the steel steps and LED barricade, popping it back on. We get an O-face over the top turnbuckle. Toni Storm looked like she was out on the apron. Billy Starks went to use a steel chair, but out came Mina Shirakawa to make the save as she runs off Billy. We get a big package by Timeless Toni for a 2 count. Athena then rolled out, fired off an uppercut, She tried for another O-face, but Tony was able to reverse that into the clutches of the TCM chicken wing. Athena fights and fights, but Tony's got the hooks in, so she has no choice but to tap out. Timeless Toni Storm once again retains the AEW Women's World Championship in another great matchup. These two ladies work so well together. Athena's timing, her pacing in the matches, her hard-hitting in-ring arsenal is just otherworldly. She is honestly one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, and it's a crime that she's been on Ring of Honor kind of hidden from the world for 2 years. But she's about to hit 1,000 days. I didn't expect her to win another title right before she hits the 1,000 days, because that would kind of overshadow it. But I was hoping to be wrong, because I thought this is the best way to keep Athena on AEW television, have her win the title. But Timeless Toni Storm, she's my Women's Wrestler of the Year, and she added just another terrific matchup to her arsenal of classic matchups this year, which is just becoming too much to count. Timeless Toni Storm with another one. I give it 4.25 stars. J News, what did you think?
Well, this was a match I went into with a very open mind with. I didn't necessarily know what to expect just from a styles perspective. But as you said, SP3, these two ladies worked very, very well together. This was more of an intricate wrestling match than I thought it was going to be. To share a phrase, God save the queen. She came out in that attire, and I was at first the attire jarred me, and I was like, I know the reference now. I was like, I get it at the end of the day. Yeah, man, it was a terrific match between the two of them. They gelled very much well together. Even the contrast in styles added to their moves in transition and how high impact everything was as well. They were not afraid to lay in those strikes. So I got to give the ladies that. Billie Starkz has no regard for her own body. I want to tell everyone that. She's 20 years old and she doesn't care. That's all I gotta say about Billie Starkz. So shouts to Billie, shouts to Mina for showing up here. She's got her shot with Athena on Friday at the ROH event. I'm a big proponent and fan of Toni Storm and the character that she's become over the last couple of years. It hasn't worn on me as it has for some other folks. Even folks in the chat are talking about it, and things of that nature. I feel like what is the same point I was making earlier. What do you do now with her, right? Where does she go from here, right? If you have her beat everybody, who is the one in line to beat her? She already beat Megan, right? So can you go back to that? You know what I'm saying? Did she have her one off with Jamie Hayter? I'm forgetting if it ever happened in this run.
Tony?
Yeah.
Not in this run.
Okay, so that can be a possibility down the line. I know that Jamie.
She got 3 or 4 big challengers, and Jamie Hayter. You could do a Tekla one with the Triangle of Madness now, and then Willow and Kris
and Stat, right? And I think for the sake of the characterization, right? Toni Storm is a larger than life character, but she is a face. If you're really going to have Stat go with the Death Riders, I think that's probably the best way you can go for her. If they're going to turn Kris heel, to have that core dynamic heel versus face type thing going. If anything goes from there, but like Athena needs to continue to be on TV for AEW. At times I can get annoyed by her and her antics in the ring, the too much posing stuff, but I know that's a part of the character and all that stuff.
I like the fact in this matchup that Athena did it.
Yeah, the antics that Athena was pulling off, I thought were a little bit more annoying than when Toni does it and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I get it, but it's like it wore on me a bit. But yeah, I want to see as to where Athena goes next after she's more than likely going to get her 1,000 days as ROH Women's Champion. And I just want to see her more on AEW TV, her and Big Bill Billy Starks. That is, they have a great dynamic, and I want to see more of it.
Kris, what did you think?
Yeah, I like this match. I did think that there was a better story that could have been told with Athena. Not because Toni Storm hasn't been great. She's my Women's Wrestler of the Year also, but I just like the dynamic of Mercedes having beat Athena, Storm having beat Mercedes, and I like that triangulation, but I do think that there's still a lot of juice left in Toni Storm. So whatever story they're going to tell is going to be interesting. And Athena's going to get her 1,000 days, and we'll figure it out from there, I guess. But I liked the match, liked it a lot.
Yeah, and you don't have to lie to kick it, Tuan. I understand you don't like Toni Storm, but don't lie if we could check it out and see that you're lying. He says if you're a ratings merchant, look at Toni's cage match numbers. She given 5 to 6 out of 10 regularly, some a lot lower. She is rated on cage match at the moment above an 8. That is what most people would like. In her matches, especially this year, it's a lot in the green. A lot of it is above a 6. Above a 6, she has one of the highest rated women's matches of the whole entire year with the Hollywood ending. Her match with Megan Bayne was highly rated. Her match with Mina was above a 7. This match is currently trending between 7 and 8. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that is objectively false because there are numbers that you can look at that tell you what her cage match rating is. But even still, like, who gives a fuck about the cage match rating? I mean, they care about that's not what TK is looking at when he's looking at who's putting on television. He's looking at television ratings, and he's looking at merch sales and other metrics outside of that stupid shit. So.
Which Toni does very well in.
Yeah,
exactly.
And just to put something else out there as well, outside of Joshi wrestling on cage match, the majority of women's wrestling matches don't get high scores to begin with. So there is a curve there for folks who want to take a look at that in that particular perspective. But look, I think everyone is going to have their opinions, their likes, their dislikes, their preferences, and all that jazz. She's their top star. There's no way around it at this point. Yeah. I can understand and sympathize with the fact that people are tired of the gimmick. Cool, but she's still drawing the ratings. She's still selling the merch. People still want her on TV. And at this point, whatever storyline you put her in is still of interest because you don't know what you're going to get. Some folks are like, oh, she's going to do the lewd sex jokes and all this stuff. And I was like, if you pay close enough attention to the details, these jokes are very specific to the talent that she's working with. Right. Yeah. So, there's a lot of nuance in the details. So, that's that. I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Yeah, there's some flaw logic to one. That's all I'm gonna say. He says, take away the gimmick from the Hollywood ending and give the same 14 minutes. Doubt we'd be talking about it. This is the same nonsense I hear from people that be like, watch Rock and Hogan without the sound. It's not the same matchup, but it is what it is. You can't change what it is.
You can't take stuff out and then be like that. That is not how debates and arguments work. You have to take the totality of the talent, not one thing, and say, well, if you take that away, that is twisted, fuzzy fucking logic.
Yeah, it's the same argument in movie box office when we're talking about inflation at the end of the day. Yeah. Which just doesn't fucking matter. You know what I'm saying? So for all it's worth. But look, guys, at the end of the day, we're gonna agree to disagree and all that jazz. I'm just wondering where she's gonna go from here. But like you said, SP3, she's got contenders in the pot coming up, hopefully. I just wonder what the stories are gonna look like. And
you have to be able to tell a story that makes people believe that you can lose the title. What was good about the Athena matchup and the Mercedes match from last month is you made people believe Toni can lose. But the more that she wins these type of matches, the less the next challenger is going to feel like the one that can beat her. So they have to build someone up properly to be the next credible challengers. But we'll see if they can do that. But Jay News, I know you got to run. You got to get back to your work thing, right? So I will give you the floor so you can let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and when they might see you again.
How many matches are left?
2.
We'll go. Yeah, let's run through the matches.
Okay.
I got
Bet. Thank you.
I'll
Next
run
up,
through my reviews too. So
he doesn't run from the grind. For the AEW World Championship, up next was Hangman Adam Page defending against Maxwell Jacob Freeman, MJF. MJF had a fly ass fucking robe he came out with. It was very Flair-esque with the green and white robe. Hangman comes out to a big ovation from the crowd. After MJF stalled and mocked the crowd to start, Page was relentless on his attack with commentary reminding us that the title can change hands on a disqualification or countout, so Page must be careful. Danielson pleaded that referee Bryce should show some leniency for Page to get in more shots. Page clotheslined MJF over the barricade into the front row, then again with a big boot. Page managed to grab a chair, but referee Bryce told him to think about it, and so the delay allowed Max to post Page. MJF remained in control back in the ring as he hits a snap power driver for a 2 count. Biting away at Page in the corner, MJF kept mocking Page, who responded with the same mockery that got a big reaction before delivering a huge flying lariat off the top. Hammer throw reversed into a fallaway slam as MJF was sent over the top. We get Page hitting a beautiful Orihara moonsault. He tries for the buckshot lariat, but MJF cuts him off. Tried a heat seeker, but Page avoided it. Tried for a buckshot, only to be reversed into the salt of the earth. Page rolled into a pin attempt. He led into a crossface, but MJF escaped into a sleeper. Page again rolled out to the apron, but MJF hit an impressive slingshot cutter and then a hammerlock DDT for a close near fall. MJF set aside his casino gauntlet contract and placed the referee, the ring attendant table by the entrance aisle and Page on top. We get MJF slowly went up top, but took too long as Page cut him off. He did hit a standing moonsault off the apron and then floated through to hit a MJF with a tombstone power driver. After breaking the count, Page repositioned the table, and then Page hits a gruesome looking dead eye through the table. But MJF, when he comes back into the ring, he gets his foot on the rope to break the 2 count. MJF knew Page wanted a buckshot, so he took a powder and seat ringside. Page got a running start, so MJF was able to hit a drop toe hold into a steel chair, and Page was busted open. Page only got like a real kind of nick. I think he tried to cut himself on his freaking hairline, but it didn't come off well. Danielson said that he'd love to go in there and punch MJF in the face after MJF says, just like you, he fucking sucks. But no, he says he knows it's what MJF wants to get Page disqualified and win the title that way. MJF picked up Page and delivers a gruesome looking tombstone onto the broken half of the table that he just went through. Page is able to break the 10 count at 9.99. MJF pulled the buckle pad off and tried to throw Page into the exposed turnbuckle, but instead MJF goes into it. That's how he gets busted open. The fans start chanting, "You deserve it," which was hilarious. Slugfest ensues with both men collapsing on top of one another until they trade tombstone and crazy pin attempts. Jackknife cover into a bridge from MJF gets a 2 count. MJF gets another jackknife pin, but Page spins out of it into a dead eye for a 2 count. Page ordered MJF to fight, but MJF took out the Dynamite Diamond ring and ordered Page to use it. MJF spat in Page's face, trying to tell him to use the damn ring, but instead Page spat in his face. MJF pulled Bryce in his way from a buckshot and then shoved them into one another, hitting a low blow and then the heat seeker on Page. MJF made the cover, but Page was able to get his foot on the rope, but the referee did not see it, just like the Mark Briscoe match. Referee Bryce counted a 3 count without seeing the foot on the rope, but he never officially called for the bell. MJF feels like he got one over once again. So then he's looks like he's about to celebrate, but then the music of Mark Briscoe hits. He comes out and basically distracts the referee and Bryce, which allows him enough time to recover, because Bryce was basically took a nap right after fucking counting the 3 count, but he wakes up just in time to see that that Hangman had his foot up, so the match was never called off yet. They both shove each other as Page hits a lariat. MJF then threw a low blow as he held into Bryce. He got a roll up, but he only gets a 2 count. MJF threw the AEW title into the ring, then used the Casino Gauntlet case and only got a 2 count. MJF went back to the Dynamite Diamond ring and was about to use it, but Bryce caught him and removed it. This gave Page a chance to get some revenge as he waffled MJF with the case himself. He then hit a dead eye and then finally hits the buckshot lariat to pick up the win and retain the AEW World Championship as the crowd explodes at the end of this matchup here. And Hangman, post-match, he places the contract on MJF's chest as he celebrates up the ramp with MJF clutching onto the contract at the end there. I thought that this was a tremendous matchup. Hangman Adam Page has been on a roll with his pay-per-view matches all year long, whether it's the MJF opener at Revolution, whether it was the match of the year candidate with Ospreay at Double or Nothing, or another match of the year candidate against Moxley at Texas in the Texas Death Match at All In. If not for the overbooking and especially the 3 count with the foot on the rope spot that really wasn't needed when you look at the totality of this matchup, it really wasn't needed. It just was a spot to bring Mark Briscoe out, but Mark Briscoe shouldn't have come out for Bryce to realize the foot was on the rope, but that's besides the point. Besides all of that and the overbooking at the end, this was absolutely phenomenal work from both guys. They just make for great dance partners in the ring. It's the ultimate babyface versus the ultimate heel in AEW, and they work seamlessly with one another. Excellent matchup. I give it 4.5 stars. Kris, what did you think?
Yeah, this was I got all my other predictions. Some of them I got right, some of them I got wrong. This was one that I knew for sure that Hangman was going to win. You're not going to have a long-ass title reign like Moxley's and then just go back to a heel like that. You're going to give the fans a little bit longer to breathe and take in this Hangman thing. So the match was great. I didn't love all the post-match fuckery, the overbooking and stuff like that, but you know, it's more of a nitpick than like something that is going to deter me from telling people to watch the show. So I was cool with it.
J News.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, man. I thought it was a fantastic in-ring match. I thought they told a great story in the ring. Like you said, outside of the ref stuff, and I know that I forget who I was watching last night. I think I was watching Sean Ross Sapp talk about it, where, you know, Bryce Remsburg is just going to do what he's told at the end of the day, right? He's not the one who writes the matches. He's just going to do what he's told and do what he's supposed to do in certain spots. So I think blaming Bryce is not, of good faith for fans out there as well, just understanding how the business works in that particular sense. And also, like I said before, great chemistry between MJF and Hangman and Page. This isn't going to stop here. I'm going to assume they're going to take this into All Out, where Max officially cashes in that he officially signs that contract, and he gives Tony time to promote the match, because that's a thing now. It's no longer a cash-in thing.
Yeah.
You have to give Tony at least 1 week's notice in order to promote this match and book the match.
He's like your boy Dario Cueto now.
There it is, man. You know what I'm saying? So there's that of it. And so that's a little bit of a different twist to it all. So shouts to Tony Khan for doing that and you know, making the concerted effort making the concerted effort to do it differently than what other companies are doing it as. And yeah, man, like we spoke about the overbooking at the beginning of the recording, and I'll touch on it now. It was unnecessary. The stuff that happened on Dynamite was unnecessary.
Yes.
So
they already fucked up there. Yeah,
they already fucked up there. So all that, wash all that stuff away. I think the wrestling aspect of it all worked tremendously. Shouts to MJF, shouts to Hanger. To Professor Chris's point, they need to let this Hangman Page championship run breathe. Can't necessarily go right back to a heel champion. Like we stayed in a 9-month hole to eventually get turned on to the Death Riders. Well, we were all turned off to the Death Riders. So it's like let Hanger stay with that championship for the time being, and let's rock on with it and see as to what he can do with it going into the rest of the year.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I'm interested to see what's next. I'm tempted to think that they might just do since they only really have like 3-4 weeks until All Out, you might as well just do the 3-way that you were teasing of Mark Briscoe, MJF. MJF can say, I got 2 matches without using my contract.
I mean, you could do that, but it's like when will it end? Right, because Max has had the ring for forever. Is he going to have that contract forever? Like, I don't want him holding on to that contract forever.
I think either that or the perfect person to me, if they don't mind ending the night with maybe a draw, do Takeshita and Hangman, but do it 60-minute time limit draw. I don't know if AEW is that brave though to do a draw in the main event.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that would be an interesting route because I think the last time we had a draw was Hangman versus Bryan.
Yes.
From Winter is Coming 2021. So it's been 4 years that we've had a 60-minute time limit draw in a world title matchup. That wasn't an Iron Man match, of course.
Right.
We do have a super chat donation from our main man, Genesis J. Thank you so much, Genesis J, for the support. He says that was supposed to be super chats. My bad. It's okay. It's all good. You're all good, Genesis J. He also says, didn't TK say something about the contract in the press? Like Jay News said, it's the contract holders for the Casino Gauntlet winners now have to give him notice before they execute the contract. That's the ruling that he made. But it was time for the main event, not the world title match, as we were discussing that as well on the preview, that this could be the main event of the show, and it in fact was. It was the lights out steel cage matchup. Before the match started, Bryan Danielson informed us he was not going to be at ringside, not going to be on commentary for this matchup because there's just strong ties to the heel team. But it was Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli with Willa Yuta and Marina Shafir teaming up with the Mercenary, Gabe Kidd, and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, versus Will Ospreay, Darby Allin, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, and in his final match in the United Kingdom and possibly for AEW overall, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Hiroshi Tanahashi got a big pop from the UK crowd. So did Darby. So did the Golden Lovers, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. But goddamn, these people love them. So Will Ospreay, he is the mayor of the UK, and that ovation he got in the O2 was deafening. The Ospreays being called out, just the love and support for Will Ospreay is something to see. Great entrance for the Death Riders, where you saw every member coming out the crevices in the backstage area, but no one will top and no one will forget the entrance of the Young Bucks, who came out, and to pay off the backstage segment from earlier in the show, you get the Young Bucks, their music as EVPs played for like 10 seconds, and you hear the record scratch, and then it goes into Bop, their theme song when they were on the Indies. Yes, Tony Khan freaking paid money to get Mbop by Hanson, and boy, did this crowd eat it up. They sing along with it. That was absolutely incredible. That is up there with the AEW crowd singing Bodies during Anarchy in the Arena, is hearing that AEW crowd in London singing Mbop. We should also mention Ospreay got this kind of grand, big time entrance where he had a fantastic video package airing some of his early work from backyard wrestling to Rev Pro. Really well done there with Alex Windsor, his missus, doing the voiceover. The crowd, like I said, were deafening for him. He hugged a bunch of people in the crowd as well. So this felt like a special moment for Ospreay, and you really, even from the entrance, you could tell there's like, oh, he's gonna be gone for a while, isn't he? Like that's how it felt from just the entrance for this matchup alone. You get that, you get some brawling early on in this matchup, similar to the Anarchy in the Arena matchup. Trying to keep up with this was just ridiculous. Some of the more notable spots, you had Tanahashi was not looking the best in this matchup. Darby Allin was running wild. It's a springboard coffin splash, then a wild sprinting dive through the ropes. The Young Bucks and the Golden Lovers faced off to a huge pop. Omega and Ibushi fired off dueling snap hurricane radas and then the double golden triangle moonsaults. Darby Allin was handcuffed to Jon Moxley and then called in Castagnoli for assistance. We got a code red on Claudio, which forced Moxley to take a bump, and he was able to escape the handcuffs. We get Omega and Gabe Kidd going at it for the first time since a Wrestle Dynasty, as they were going on it. That got a good reaction from this crowd as well. The Bucks planted Ibushi with an assisted sliced bread. Nick then grabbed the bag of what he requested the production assistant to fill with weapons, and it was only gummy bears, which infuriated Moxley. You get Omega tried to drop Toho into the bears, but Matt fought it off. So Tanahashi hits a running bulldog, and he does a freaking headstand bump into it. Hilarious spot there. You get Castagnoli brought in a ladder into the ring and launch Ospreay off the apron into the cage, busting him open badly. The Bucks sent Darby crashing on the setup ladder with a power bomb. Darby's ear was starting to bleed as the Bucks hit an assisted swanton using the ladder. The Bucks tried to take Ospreay out with the ladder, but he kipped up, hits a handspring Pele kick into both members of the Bucks. Moxley returned with a chair, and Ospreay ducked and tried to Pillmanize Moxley's neck, only for Gabe Kidd to come in and spike Ospreay with a Gotch-style power driver. Kidd draped Omega over the top rope, and the Bucks hit a double stomp power bomb, bounce back power bomb combo. We get the giant swing by Castagnoli. Nick leaped over them and then took out Ibushi with the twisting tornillo. We get Ibushi fought back. He powered up only to eat a double super kick and then the TK driver. Allin was able to break things up. Then we get one of the best spots of the matchup. Claudio presses Darby over his head, ran and launches Darby into the fucking cage wall where Darby just bounced off. Ridiculous spot. Tanahashi was left to fight alone as he stood his ground, sidestepping the Bucks, dishing out twist and shout to Claudio until Moxley cut him off with the paradigm shift. Moxley sat Allin in a chair as Claudio started duct taping Darby to the chair. Then Moxley grabbed a fork and then started violently stabbing Darby's bloody ear, which was absolutely disgusting. Claudio then body slammed Darby while he was still on the chair with blood pouring from his ear. We get a barbed wire table set up in the ring. That is eventually you get freaking Moxley being put through the barbed wire table. We get Ospreay, who was motionless for the longest time. He broke up a cover after a neutralizer and a BTE trigger on Tanahashi. Tanahashi, you get Ospreay covering and protecting Tanahashi as Moxley pulled him up by his neck. He wanted a Death Rider, but Ospreay tackled him through the barbed wire table. We get Omega return with Snapdragons until the Golden Lovers hit stereo ones onto Moxley and Matt. Ibushi just got enough of the slingshot plancha before ramping up the crowd for Omega to do the Terminator dive. Hilariously, the camera cut to Shafir, who loudly said, "Fuck you, Kenny." Tanahashi started climbing a ladder, which scared the shit out of his own teammates to the point they pleaded with him not to do it, which was very funny. Ospreay then climbed the cage and then hits this incredible looking moonsault onto the pile of heels. The heels were great right there in time to catch him. Kid was left with tunnel vision on Omega in the ring. They pick up where they left off at Wrestle Dynasty. Things break down as everyone took turns hitting signature moves. You get Darby Allin with the Scorpion Death Drop on Moxley. You get Ospreay wall walked into a super kick, but ultimately took out both Bucks with hidden blades. Ospreay pushed Omega out of the way of a charging Kid and laid Kid out with a sling blade, and then delivered a hidden blade V trigger combo. Then you get Nick hits a scary looking springboard DDT on Ibushi on the apron. Ospreay flew in with an Oscutter on the apron onto Matt, while Darby hit a coffin drop as well. Omega and Moxley were left to slug it out, taken up from their rivalry that started on the first day of AEW. We get V triggers by Omega. He goes for the One Ring Angel, but that was broken up. Darby and Moxley start fighting off top of the cage. Yuta made the save, allowing Moxley to get away as Yuta was left falling from the cage through the Japanese announce table, even wiping out El Desperado. Moxley and Darby fought around the cage, and he placed the Moxley between the setup tables on the outside. Marina Shafir pulls him away. Cade climbs a ladder and hits a low blow on Darby. He puts him in a sleeper on top of the cage. Darby rakes his eyes, and both men go crashing through the four tables on the floor as Moxley looks in disbelief as he sees this all happen in front of him. Claudio screams loudly after every uppercut thrown at Ibushi, who fired up, hits a half and half, a ripcord V trigger by Omega, and then a Stormbreaker by Ospreay takes out Claudio. Nick ate a golden trigger by the Golden Lovers, while Ospreay launched off of Nick's back to hit Matt with a leaping hidden blade. An incredible hidden blade One Ring Angel combo by Ospreay and Omega takes out Matt, but then all the babyface wait for Tanahashi to climb the top rope. He poses up, he hits the high fly flow on Matt and gets the 1, 2, 3 for the babyfaces here. Ospreay, Omega, Ibushi, and Tanahashi stand tall as Darby was being treated by the doctors at ringside. He was helped up by the Golden Lovers and Tanahashi to come celebrate with them. Ospreay was left the ring alone, knowing that he's going to be gone from the fans for a long time. He says that he's going to miss the fans. We get the end credit at the end. It's all over. The babyfaces stand tall, and Forbidden Door is over. But wait, there's more. Commentary put over the uncertainty surrounding Ospreay's future, and just as Ospreay was going to leave the cage, he is cut off by Claudio Castagnoli, who blindsides him with the uppercut. Claudio then grabs a chain and a lock, and he locks the door, leaving the baby faces out as the Death Riders had Ospreay all alone in the ring. You get the Bucks, Yuta, and Kid all hell off opposition. None of the baby faces, except for Darby, even tried to climb the cage. Meanwhile, on the other side of the cage, Marina Shafir's ass is climbing over the cage. Like, y'all guys are dumbasses. Women are smarter, apparently. Meanwhile, you get Moxley's giving Ospreay Death Rider after Death Rider after Death Rider after Death Rider. You get the op sprint down to help, but they can't get in either. A chair was placed over Ospreay's neck. Moxley stops Claudio from stomping on the neck like he did at All In, and he says, "I want to do it myself," and stomps down, Pillmanizing Ospreay's neck. The cage slowly raises. Death Riders bail as the babyfaces rush to Ospreay's aid, who laid motionless in the ring as doctors tended to him, and he was stretchered out of the building to close the show. Fantastic matchup. Fantastic angle at the end as well. But the matchup, the lights out steel cage matchup, this was AEW's kind of first foray into this type of matchup, like a dog pound steel cage match that we're familiar with, Jay News, from watching New Japan. And I thought they hit it out the park. I thought this was, I would argue, probably better than both versions of the dog pound steel cage. And I love the one from this year. I thought the first one was too dangerous, but this got the dangerous element into it. It had the violence, you had the bloodshed, you had the fun spots, you had comedy in this matchup. This hit the mark on every layer. I give it 4 3/4 stars, and I could probably be argued onto a second viewing to give it 5 stars. This was almost as flawless as this match could have possibly went, with all my my hesitance about this matchup. This went off like gangbusters, and I thought the show closing angle was really well done, where you gave the baby faces the win. You thought it was all ending all sweet for them, and then you give them the freaking Empire Strikes Back ending, where the hero goes down and is stretchered out in his hometown. That is how you do it. Jay News, what did you think?
I thought to myself when the match first started and the entrances came on, great touch by AEW putting that video montage together for Will Ospreay and having his missus do the voiceover. A lot of people in the that I saw online that were in the crowd were talking about how emotional folks were getting and things of that nature, and I feel like that was the point. To the match itself, I considered that it was going to be a clusterfuck, and that's exactly what it was. But I will say this. And people can disagree with me all they want or whatever the case is, but this is probably the safest violent match I've ever seen in my life. I've seen some scary shit in my day in cages. This was one of those things where, to your point, SP3, the layers of it, right? The comedy, the suspense, the actual violence, and compared to the wrestling violence that took place in the match and things of that nature. I thought that probably the most extra thing outside of the gore, right, when we saw the fork in Darby's ear, when I saw Darby and Gabe Kidd on the top of that cage, I said to myself, Darby, don't do it. Don't do it, Darby. Don't you fucking do it. And he took Gabe with him. I was not expecting that at all, to be quite honest. Being that Gabe is coming, he currently has a knee injury. So for him to have to want to take that bump, mind you, Gabe took the brunt of that bump. Darby,
I'm not gonna fret. This man did not look like he had a knee injury.
No, I know.
I love you, Gabe. He did not look like
he didn't
had
look
a knee injury.
But all. It is it's there. But Gabe took the brunt of that bump. Darby landed on Gabe as Gabe went down, crashing through the table and onto the ground. Luckily, he was still breathing by all that stuff after all that went down. They from what I understand, they were both okay after the fact. Not to say that they were fine, but they were okay. And man, everything else just played out well, as safely as they could do it. We didn't see anything crazy from Kenny. We didn't see anything crazy from Ibushi. We were about to see something crazy from Tana, but that didn't happen. They kept it from doing it, like you said.
No, that was one of my favorite spots of the matchup. It's like, no, Unk, don't do it, Unk.
So that was cool. It's just one of those things where they didn't have to do the overkill part was the post-match part, right? But during the match, they didn't have to do the overkill in order to get the match over. It worked for what it was. I thought it was great. The post-match stuff, man, once the credits went up and they didn't fade to black, I was like, oh, okay. They're gonna take Will out here. And I just wondered how. And I was like, all right, this is a bit too much, y'all. This is a bit much. It's a bit much. The consecutive finishers from Moxley and then the freaking Pillmanization with the chair. I was like, all right, guys, we get it. He's got a bad neck. Do we have to take it this far at this point? And the ridiculousness of members of the Death Riders climbing the cage to get into the cage to attack Will, while the good guys were standing outside like they couldn't do anything. Just made people look dumb.
We can't open this door. We can't. Our legs don't work, apparently.
And then you saw like there was videotape of like Ibushi punching the door, trying to punch it open, and Darby smacking it with the kendo stick. I was like, guys, come on. This is a bit much, but they had to write Will off of TV. I guess they wanted to do it in the most violent way possible, and they did that. So the stretcher piece, Will kept on selling it as best as he could. I felt like he was legitimately injured as they stretchered him out. It sounded like he was in agony. So he played that up as well as he could. But yeah, man, what a clusterfuck of a match. I thought it was super entertaining. Props to everybody involved, and thankfully no one got really hurt outside of the injuries that were previously stated going into the matches. And I'm sure guys will not be on Dynamite after this match, but it is what it is. And
you know how they do with that, so yeah, they're probably gonna have them wrestle on Dynamite in some way. Michael Allen Lewis saying Gabe ain't wanna be in no G1 when he can do Forbidden Door. It's more money in Forbidden Door than a month of G1 apparently. But Chris, what did you think about the main event, Lights Out Steel Cage?
Yeah, it was cool. I liked it. There was some spots in this match I could have did without seeing. Like the scary spots were one thing. As long as it's safe, I'm cool. But the fork to the ear, I just could have did without that. You got to be careful if you're going to be eating and watching AEW pay-per-views, especially for these kind of matches, because it's just not going to sit well. Well, not with me. It didn't sit well with me, but I thought the match was fine. The riding off on Ospreay was cool. It was interesting because I am kind of ready for the Moxley's crew to kind of go, not be the same kind of thing anymore, but we'll see where it goes. I'm open-minded towards all of this, so I'm cool with it. But yeah, I liked the match. It was a fine match.
Yes, it seems like everybody's in agreement with that. Tuan says, I was turning it off until it went back. It went black. NXT taught me that. Yes. You know better. I saw Claudio and the Bucks on the side of the cage, the side of the ring, and I was like, oh, they're probably gonna do an angle. I was like, all the baby faces left the cage. I was like, yep, they're doing an angle. So I saw it coming. I saw it coming a little bit there. But we've made it to the end of this pay-per-view. So we want to hear from all of you guys. Final call for super chat donations. Also, let us know in the live chat, what was your match of the night? What was your MVP, your LVP? What was your moment of the night? Out of 10, what did you give this show? Did you give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle? One last question before I get to the super chat donations we got here. J News, how long do you think Will Ospreay will be out of action with this neck injury?
I give it about a year, if not that, anywhere between 9 to 12 months. It's a neck thing at the end of the day. If he does go through, because he's been implying surgery, but there hasn't been any confirmation of it. So, depending as to how he wants to take care of it, I would say anywhere between 9 to 12 months. I don't expect him back till this time next year. That's me, to answer the question.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I would say probably about 9 months to a year. I mean, modern medicine is like nuts right now, so I could see it being as low as maybe 7 months, but I definitely think I think maybe a year is a safe bet.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like 9 months. I think that he'll be back in time to be in the Owen next year, because it's not like repairable surgery he's getting preventable surgery.
Yeah,
Is to prevent other issues down the line. So I think,
and I heard
he's
him
gonna
say that in the interview too.
Yeah, I think he's going to come back sooner than a year. And what do you think AEW should do in regards to like fill in the gaps for an Ospreay and a Swerve? Swerve's also going to be out for a little while. You got two of your top 3-4 baby faces in the company are not going to be there anymore. I made the suggestion, I believe, either on our preview J News or on True Heel Heat flagship podcast. I was like, it's the time for Takeshita. I was like, they've been slow burning it, but you need to turn up that cooker and do an angle where Takeshita feels like he is bigger than the Don Callis family, and the Don Callis family eventually have to turn on him because you set up so many different big matches, but most of all, you facilitate Takeshita being one of the top baby faces. Because after winning the G1, there's only one place for him to go in AEW, and it's straight to the top. And you need someone to fill that gap as far as a top baby face. I think Takeshita is the lead guy who should be in the lead in regards to that. Kris, who do you think they should elevate to kind of fill in the gaps for Ospreay and Swerve being gone?
Yeah, I think Takeshita would be number one on my list, but they've got guys that they can like they got Lashley there, and Shelton Benjamin they've heated up or they've put him in a good position. I like, let me see. I'm trying to think. I'm still kind of early out here, but yeah, I definitely think Takeshita would be the definite number one on my list. But there's no shortage of guys. I don't think so. I think it sucks that these guys have to be off at the same time. But if this was a depleted roster, I'd be more concerned, but they've got so many people and people that the fans will accept too. And I think Takeshita, Lashley, people like that, fans would easily, you put them in something hot, they'll be fine.
J News.
Yeah, I think Old Nutty said it best. That was my favorite thought. My favorite thought exactly is Takeshita and the women, right? You push the women into the main event scene for them to take over for what you're going to lose with Will and Swerve for a while. I'm a big Takeshita fan at the end of the day, so I think that pushing him to the stratosphere is going to be of note to AEW. How they do it, how they end up evolving his character outside of the Don Callis family will be something to watch for. Also, I want to pay attention to guys who have to step up on the heel side of things. Outside of an MJF, Professor Kris talked about Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. I think it's a perfect time, and not for nothing. It's my own personal bias. I feel like they can do something with Josh Alexander if they wanted to in this estimation, if they want to keep the wrestling on a high level, right? Because AEW is where the best wrestle. They haven't really given him much to chew on since his debut. He's got his gripe, right? Because his debut was a loss against Hanger. So if they want to push someone into the upper mid card or into the upper echelon of the card that is a heel at this point, or at least in a heel faction, Josh Alexander for me is one of those people. Whether they do it or not, it's going to be on them. And that's just something I want to mention. But the women for me is a strong point. I feel like if they can start to main event stuff, they've main evented plenty of Dynamites, and they've done offshoot collisions here and there, and obviously the defunct Rampage. If they start doing it on the main event level and on the pay-per-view level, it'll go very far with the fan base and obviously with the ladies in the locker room. So I think that's something that they should look into and give a shot to and go from there.
So, yes, let us know in the live chat. Match of the night, MVP, LVP, moment of the night. Out of 10, what did you give the show? We got a super chat donation here from Genesis J, who says, when I heard Hanson, not going to lie, my black ass was dancing. Well, you saw Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. They were jamming. They were jamming when they heard Mbop. We also got Chuck Berries with a super chat donation who says, I'm curious to know how you guys rank AEW pay-per-views this year. Here's mine. Dynasty, Forbidden Door, Revolution, All In, Double or Nothing. I think I would have the same ranking, except I would probably switch Forbidden Door for Revolution. I think Revolution had the higher highs, but I think Forbidden Door is better match placement, better paced, and it's more consistent than Revolution that has the big drop off with the main event. So I'd probably go Double or Nothing, All In, Forbidden Door, Revolution, Dynasty, which the lowest I will go on these shows is like a 7.5 out of 10. So this is a high rate for AEW pay-per-views this year. What about you, Chris? How do you rank these shows?
Yeah, I really didn't plan on talking about the ranking of this stuff today, so forgive me, Chuck. I would say I'd say Double or Nothing is probably my favorite of the year. And yeah, I just can't critically think, or not even critically think. I have to think about this, so forgive me, my dude.
J News.
I'm probably switching around. Dynasty's at 5 for me.
Yeah.
Revolution's at 4, then Forbidden Door, then Double or Nothing for me, and then All In at 1. I was a big fan of All In. I thought All In is really the show of the year so far for AEW in that particular regard. So that'll be my rankings of it all. I think this show, Forbidden Door, what we're talking about today, was a really good show. Not their best, but like I said to begin the stream, man, they are definitely victims of their own success, right? You set a high bar, and people are going to always want what you continue to give them. And this was a good show, but it wasn't the great that we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then finally, we got Call Me Mr. Bonda, who says Will Ospreay is allergic to mediocrity. Best in the world. Salute emoji, heart emoji, trophy emoji. Thank you so much, Call Me Mr. Bonda, for the super chat donation. But for me, Chris, NJ News, for AEW x NJPW Forbidden Door 2025 in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up across the board from all three of us. Out of 10, I'm going to give this show an 8 out of 10. I thought this was really strong show. Not a bad match on the card. The highs were high with the final 2 matches, especially. I thought the 3 title matches in the middle, Nigel and ZSJ, Athena and Toni Storm, and Okada and Swerve, were all terrific in their own right, all in different ways as well. Tag title match was a lot of fun. Hiromu and Kyle Fletcher probably exceeded expectations the most on the card. And even Cope and Christian was a bunch of fun as well. There's not a dud on this card. One of the most, honestly, I'll probably edge it out and give it an 8.5. Because like I said, I think it's the most consistent and best match placement of any AEW pay-per-view this year. So, Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I'd give it either like a 7.9 or an 8, like right in the B- B C+ territory. I thought it was a fine show, but yeah, I just I didn't think I had to watch this show. It wasn't anything that I felt like, oh my God, if I missed it, I would have been disappointed. Whereas the other pay-per-views this year, I did feel like that. I was glad that I watched them live. And this one, I was just fine with watching it live, not ecstatic or calling people on the phone or whatever like that.
J News?
Yeah, I give this show a solid 8, an 8 out of 10 for me. Like I said, it wasn't their best show, but it was a really, really good show. At the end of the day, I was entertained from beginning to the end. Like I said, good surprises, good returns, excellent match quality across the board for everybody involved. Outside of the booking, mishaps and malfunctions, I think this is another one that AEW can put a feather in their cap for.
Right.
Match of the night. I'm gonna go with the lights out steel cage matchup. J News.
Shit, man. Match of the night for me. I'm going to go. If I'm really thinking about it, Hiromu and Fletch.
Kris.
Yeah, I'm going with the Fletcher match too. Just it's tough for me on this pay-per-view, but I'll pick that one.
Yeah, I can agree with that. MVP for the show. I'm going to give it to Will Ospreay. He sacrificed for our sins. It was the passion of Will Ospreay at the end. Kris, who you got?
Yeah, I give it to Will Ospreay too, because this is a sucky time to have to think about like any kind of injury or surgery for him because he's on such a hot streak. So I salute him going for it. And Swerve to another extent too. But yeah, just get well soon, guys.
J News.
Yeah, man. MVP of the night. I'll coincide with you guys. I'll give it to Will. Honorable mention to Bozilla for the show out and the standout.
Oh
so,
yeah.
Most definitely. LVP for the show. I will give it to. I mean, that's tough. Who y'all got for LVP? I'm gonna give it to Bryce Rensburg for that refereeing performance in the world title match. Kris?
I'm gonna give it to MVP just because he wasn't there. This was really hard for me to give LVPs on shows like this, but yeah, just because he wasn't there. Yeah.
J News.
LVP for the night. I got love for him because he gave us an alternative. He helped give us an alternative 6 years ago. But the man with the pencil, the Booker man, you are the LVP for the night, sir. TK, you're gonna take a shot for this one, man. Some of the buffoonery that went on here. You get last say on all this stuff, and for you to let it slide, no bueno, brother. No bueno. I love you, man, but
I feel you.
I
feel you. I couldn't give it to him. I thought about giving it to him, but the match placement was too good. So the
match placement was great.
But Bryce was horrible on refereeing, so I'll give it to Bryce. I think that's everything. That's moment of the night. I will give moment of the night to Mbop.
Moment of the night for me was the crash and burn. Darby and Gabe going through the table.
Kris?
For me, it was Bozilla because I never saw. I mean, I knew of her, but I just didn't know that she could go like that. So I'll give it to her. Just me seeing her. That's it.
Yeah. We've made it to the end of another pay-per-view review. I want to thank my good brothers, Professor Kris and J News, for joining me today to talk all about Forbidden Door. If you're watching us on demand, comment down below. Let us know what you thought about Forbidden Door. What did you give the show out of 10? Whether you gave the show a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. Match of the night, MVP and LVP. Thank you to all of you who joined us live. Remember, if you haven't already, drop the thumbs up on the video. Share it with your friends. Subscribe if you are new. And Professor Kris, thank you as always for joining us for these AEW pay-per-view reviews. Here's the floor. Let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and when they'll see you again.
Yeah. So you can follow my Substack. It's on the screen. And then I'm mostly on the Blue Sky. KMEZ does it. That's my Twitter handle also. So just find me at those places.
And J News, let the people know where they can follow you, sir.
You can follow me on the Twitter machine at JohnLYFNMG. Follow me on Instagram at _JONJY. Back at it again this Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hit the Roast Podcast, me and the lovely Dolores. She wants to watch Clash in Paris live and whatever the case is. So we're going to move the show to 9 p.m. this week. So you catch me there. And then whenever else we have our Destruction preview and reviews to go when it comes to New Japan stuff. Me and SP3 will be back here on True Heel Heat to get that up for you guys in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, we will be here to talk all about it. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHeelSP3. You can follow the gang Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at TrueHeelHeat. Patreon.com/TrueHeelHeat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content. The best place to support us when we are not live here. We got our GOAT match series up over there. We had preview for Global Wars UK and Rev Pro 13th anniversary over at Patreon as well. I'll probably do a review for Global Wars and 13th anniversary for Patreon this coming week as well. And we'll have an exclusive review for all of our subscribers here on the channel for WWE NXT Heatwave from last night as well. I will be back tomorrow at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time with Rated Raw Review, reviewing tonight's Go Home edition of Monday Night Raw ahead of Night in Paris, Clash in Paris. We'll have a Clash in Paris preview on Friday. Wednesday, we'll have a ROH Death Before Dishonor preview. So a lot for you to enjoy here. But for Professor Kris, for J News, it is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. Check out the True Heel Heat flagship podcast from this past Saturday, our 8-year anniversary. Thank you for all the support for that. But in the meantime, between time, this has been our AEW x NJPW Forbidden Door 2025 review. We are signing off until next time.